It is 23 more days to go for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. Welcome to the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Now, before I tell you what we have in store for you this morning, I want to have a question for you. How is it going with the fight against illegal mining? I think the conversation or the mere thought of it grates on our leaders and our politicians in the lead up to elections. And so everybody seems to be quiet, but the problem persists. Anyway, this morning we'll start by serving you the AM news, and then after that we'll sit with our guests to review the newspapers. For our news review today, Afel Moni will be joining us. He's former president of GJA. And after that, we'll bring you AM Sports. Haruda Mumbarak will be bringing you the latest updates from the world of sports. Of course, today is a Thursday, and we have AM exclusive right here on the AM show. Now, today, we'll bring you a fascinating interview with the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Commodity Exchange, Mrs. Tuchi Ivoyi. And you don't want to miss that with me. And then after that, we'll take you to the Central Business District of Accra, where fake kente products are dominating, causing genuine textile sellers to suffer. This and more on AM Business today with James Ishen on that beat. You want to join us with your comments and your thoughts either right now via social media platforms at Joy News on TV, or at the tail end of the show when we open the phone lines. Then you call in and get to have your say. Folks, welcome aboard the AM show. Let's get into the news now. This is the AM News. Let's get into the details. Now, the Bekwai Circuit Court charged 6 persons involved in the assault of Joy News journalist Erastu Sasari Donko and his crew with 5 counts of assault, stealing, and conspiracy to commit crime, among others. Environmental journalist Erastu Sasari Donko and his team were abducted and physically assaulted by heavily built men working for Idel Metallium Resources Limited. 5 other suspects are at large. Love FM's editor Akufo-Addo was in court yesterday and has the rest of the story.
Accused persons who appeared in court include Felix Amankwa, Akwesi Frimpong, Frederick Afol, Joshua Ofori, Mumuni Musa, and Daniel Apia, all employees of Idel Metallium Resources Limited. They are between the ages of 23 and 52 years. They are accused of forcibly abducting Erastus Asaridonko, Majid Alidu, Edward Akun, and Nicholas Swanta, taking them to an undisclosed location, subjecting them to brutal beatings, and later abandoning them. The Joy News crew were investigating illegal mining activities at Manson Esumenya. Prosecution, led by ASP Lloyd Bedu, charged all accused persons on 5 counts of assault, conspiracy to commit crime, and stealing. All 6 pleaded not guilty to the charges. Their counsel pleaded the court to admit the accused persons to bail, arguing they have been of good behavior after a police inquiry bail. The prosecutor did not object to the plea. Presiding Judge Justice Isaac Apietu therefore granted the plea for bail with 2 sureties of 100,000 Ghana cedis, and for all accused persons to present themselves to the Manson Edubia police every Monday before the next court hearing. The case was adjourned to Friday, December 13, 2024. For Joy News, Akufo-Addo reporting.
Still on illegal mining, convener for the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, has raised concerns over the silence of stakeholders, including organized labor, since the initial move by government to deal with the menace after labor called off their intended nationwide strike. Yes, more.
It hasn't. Tell me which of the enhanced things have started. Then you have been able to see that some results. Apart from when the military moved out and then they deployed and they got media people in there for 1 day. After that, what has happened? Nothing. So which one again? The court? Nothing. There are issues about LI 2462. What? They have all the two of them who sat in Parliament, the NDC and the NPP who sat in Parliament to get that law, that obnoxious law passed. They have decided that they are more interested in where they will sit than how we will deal with these issues. Well, another thing that we're also planning of doing is to mobilize all the presidential candidates and then also the parliamentary candidates to sign on to that. Nothing has happened. So it is important that we also, as a people, we really wake up and say that, if it was your son, who had a fourth-year student from KNUST, just had to go and defend his thesis, it goes to fall into a pit and die. Are you now going to say we should wait till the next election? If it's your daughter that goes to give birth to a baby with 4 feet and 2 hands, and then without genitalia, dies, and the postmortem is carried out, and in the bone marrow, the level of toxicity in that, would you be happy about it? This is the question we'll be asking ourselves.
President Akufo-Addo has been speaking on the subject as the opening of the 29th Conference of Parties, that is COP29 in Baku of Azerbaijan, including what the government has been doing to address climate change. He said there must be a consolidated effort to stop destruction of the environment to secure Ghana's future.
We're determined to meet the Paris Agreement's goals across agriculture, transport, forestry, energy, and other sectors. We have made strides. The Green Ghana project has planted 50 million trees, and forest restoration efforts have covered 721,000 hectares since 2017 when I came to office. 13 mitigation actions have cut annual greenhouse gas emissions by 43% since 2021. Ghana's national electric vehicle policy, backed by tax incentives, promotes sustainable mobility, and our energy transition framework steers us towards a green future. Through Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, Ghana has mobilized $800 million United States dollars by trading carbon credits with nations like Switzerland and Sweden. However, we cannot reach our climate goals alone. We call on our global partners to honor their commitments, ensuring accessible concessional financing for sustainable development in Africa without unsustainable debt. As a father and a grandfather, I question what we will leave behind. What world will we leave behind? Our children's future hinges on our decisions. That COP29 here in Azerbaijan mark a pivotal shift from dialogue to decisive action. Let us act boldly, showing future generations that we fought for them.
Away from illegal mining, from tears of sorrow to tears of joy. That's the reaction of a mother whose daughter has been battling end-stage kidney failure from the age of 13. Today, she's overwhelmed with gratitude after CEO of Engineers and Planners and Jatta Cement, Ibrahim Mahama, stepped in to fully cover the $25,000 needed for her daughter's kidney transplant. Yes, more.
So will I be on dialysis for the rest of my life? Or will I get someone to help me out of this? Or that will be the end of my life?
Rosemary Buedu shared her fears, wondering if she too would face the fate of others on dialysis.
When I hear that someone on dialysis had died, I ask myself, so will I also die?
Her plea resonated. Today, there's a brighter outlook. Her tears are now for joy, thanks to your support and the generosity of engineer Ibrahim Mahama.
Sanda Ibrahim said there were my so I mean that say baby say between everyone but my baby that Grace
is no longer burdened by the weight of financial troubles.
Not me that mean that to me, Jonas, I miss so, me bump by crana, me soon, no, so, and so, that's the Yammy Addo. Yam don't go and see him pie, and say, Yammy quite bound on so be free. That season, so I make any not to me, I caught in school. And I took me to school because I didn't know that I come and so go school and as a doctor.
This story is more than just one of financial relief. It is a demonstration of compassion. For Rosemary and her family, it is a renewed hope and a second chance at life. Emmanuel Juvenu's report for Joy News.
What can I say? Joy News gets results. Now, in other stories, the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Lambussie, Professor Titus Bayu, has expressed optimism about his chances of becoming the next legislator for Lambussie. He attributed the constituency's challenges to the neglect by the Akufo-Addo administration, citing poor leadership over nearly 8 years, which he claims has stalled development in the area. Despite this optimism, the former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association emphasized that NDC in Lambussie constituency will remain vigilant and not become complacent until victory is achieved in the December 7 polls. Professor Bayo made these remarks while presenting medical equipment and consumables worth 120,000 Ghana cedis for distribution to health facilities in the constituency. Joining us, Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Lambussie.
The NDC Lambussie parliamentary candidate, Professor Titus Bayu, conducted 2 assignments that he thinks will improve the health and education of the people. He donated medical equipment and consumables that included 10-liter oxygen concentrator and temperature guns worth 120,000 Ghana cedis to the paramount chief of Lambussie, Koro Isaka Kazieta II, for onward distribution to all health facilities across the constituency.
Medical devices and consumables valued at 102,000 Ghana cedis this afternoon. For the details of it, I have worked closely with the Director of Health Services. He has fashioned out a distribution plan, and I'm happy to announce that every single community is covered.
Next was the maiden disbursement of monies for beneficiaries of the Bayo Education Scholarship Trust, BEST, which was launched by former minority leader in Parliament, lawyer Haruna Idrisu.
I want to make it clear that the scholarship is going to be apolitical. It is not political in nature.
One of the beneficiaries of the scheme praised the NDC parliamentary candidate for coming to her aid.
I'm in level 300. I'm still owing prospectus. But the fees, now that I'm here to pick this up, I will go and cover up the fees and pay the debt that I borrow people money to pay.
Turning to politics, Professor Bayo averred that due to the neglect of the people by the Akufo-Addo administration, coupled with the poor leadership exhibited in the district, he is quite sure that the people of Lambussie will not only vote massively for John Dramani Mahama to be president, but will surely vote for him.
The polls are showing clearly that I'm in the lead. If you look at the factors that led to our loss, we seem to have gone past that. And therefore, I'm very, very hopeful. The general economic conditions, the poor leadership they have experienced over the years, all that is adding on to making the choice very easy for the people of Lambussie to make.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Lambussie.
Now, students of the Kropong School for the Blind have appealed to political party leaders to ensure they maintain the peace the country is enjoying before, during and after the elections. According to the students, any instability will gravely affect them as they will most likely not receive timely intervention. The students said this after receiving some basic items from the St. Paul Lutheran School in Kanda. Jennifer August has more in this report. Read to you.
As the 2024 general election approaches, Marginalized groups are intensifying their plea to political parties to uphold the peace the country is currently enjoying. The latest to join are the students from the Akufo-Addo School of the Blind. They are asking electorate to obey all the rules and regulations governing the elections so no violence will be recorded.
Whilst the elections are on the way coming, we need peace and we should obey the rules and regulations.
As the elections are coming, we need peace.
We need peace, and they should come to our aid and support us.
They spoke with Joy News after receiving some white canes and other basic needs from the St. Paul's Lutheran School, Kanda.
It is very nice, and we hope all those things that they have given to us or they've donated to us, it will go a long way.
The donation committee chairperson for the school, Joseph Sow, assured all the items received will go a long way to help them offer the best care for the students.
I, on behalf of Akufo-Addo School for the Blind, the headmistress, management, staff, and entire student body, express my appreciation to the St. Paul Lutheran School.
Executive Manager of St. Paul's Lutheran School highlighted the role of the private sector in complementing government's efforts and caring for the needy.
As for education, it's holistic. Government alone cannot do it. So there's a need for us to be as a partner in giving education to every individual that comes to us, or that we can take advantage. Not only that we are giving them direct education, but whatever we do here also involve them into our school curriculum, so like this donation. So we want to ensure that they are not alone, although you're private sector, but the public also is part of us.
Some of the students who contributed shared their excitement about being part of the Be a Blessing initiative.
I feel very good because in the Bible it says there is more blessing in giving than receiving.
I'm very happy about this donation because we get to help other people in need, and it's a blessing.
A report read for Jennifer August for Joy News.
The Ghana Health Information Management Association is calling on key stakeholders, including government agencies, telecommunication companies, and healthcare providers, to prioritize investment in expanding digital infrastructure. According to GIMA, strengthening digital infrastructure is essential to advancing effective health information management across the country. Central Regional Correspondent Eric Asante has more in this report.
Digital health information management is fast becoming a cornerstone of modern healthcare systems around the world, allowing for the efficient storage, retrieval, and sharing of patient data. In Ghana, where the healthcare sector is gradually embracing digitalization, the Ghana Health Information Management Association President Richard Delali Aheto says expanding digital infrastructure is crucial to supporting the country's health information management needs. He made these remarks during the 9th annual general meeting of the association in Cape Coast.
We'll be here for the next 3 days. Health information management in the era of digitalization as our theme for this program shortly means that technologies have evolved so much, and we envisage that using technology, it will make health information management very simple for the practitioners, right? And when we talk of health information without looking at the modern technologies, then you will be left behind as a practitioner or health information officer. So when we talk of digitalization, we are in the digitalization era. Simply, we are going to capitalize on available technologies to upscale what we have been doing in health information management in Ghana. Looking at the way forward, we have one particular challenge that we want to tackle so well. That is the membership drive. There are still members who are far in the peripheral, right? Facilities where the information reaching them is very rare. And so they are yet to catch up with issues of the association. And after this AGM, we will commit resources and make sure we bring our members deep in the facilities, deep across the facilities, to be part of this AGM. So that the next AGM, we have to see numbers doubling or multiplying more than we are seeing today.
The Acting Regional Director of Health in the Central Region, Dr. Agnes Echiama Anani, commended the association for their pivotal role in healthcare data delivery.
With this cholera outbreak that we had within Central Region, it took the effort of some health information officers to draw attention to the fact that we are recording a lot of diarrhea cases in a particular facility. It only takes a very diligent health information officer, biostatisticians, records, everybody who deals with data in that facility to help us to be able to identify cases, and in this particular cholera cases. Health information officers, the data that you give us also help us to at least implement policies. Even sometimes when it comes to resource allocations, we need data to do that, because you need the population, you need the district, you need the facilities that are within the particular district, and that one also falls on data. So I'm just reiterating how important that you are and the commitment that you have to give when it comes to the job that you are supposed to do.
Also speaking at the event, the head of research, statistics and innovation at the Ministry of Health, Mr. Akufo-Addo, urged members to uphold the highest ethical standard as they perform their duties in an increasingly digital environment.
As digitalization holds immense potential to transform health information management in unprecedented ways, with advancement in artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data analytics, and predictive modeling, we can leverage vast amount of data to uncover trends, enhance patient outcome, and make well-informed public health decisions. This technological empowers us to move from reactive to proactive healthcare, anticipating needs and responding swiftly to health challenges across the country.
The Ghana Health Information Management Association remains hopeful that by prioritizing digital health information management, Ghana can achieve a more efficient, secure, and inclusive healthcare system. From Cape Coast, my name is Eric Asante for Joy News.
Amid rising concerns over human trafficking, terrorism and smuggling, Ghana Immigration Service has strengthened its border surveillance with advanced security equipment provided by the European Union. Now, these criminal activities have highlighted the need for heightened security measures, even as we head to the polls on December 7th. Speaking to Joy News, EU Ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Chad Razali, said the EU support is aimed at empowering the Ghana Immigration Service to effectively counter threats posed by trafficking networks, terrorist threats and illicit smuggling.
The three-day workshop themed Strengthening Regional Partnerships for Effective Border Management, Lessons Learned and Future Directions brought together stakeholders from the Ghana Immigration Service, the European Union and the ECOWAS sub-region. Organized by the International Center for Migration Policy Development, the event focused on collaborative strategies to enhance border security. Head of Special Duties at the Ghana Immigration Service, DCOI, Maud Kwedu, outlined the service's proactive measures to address border insecurities.
We identified risks and threats like human trafficking, border smuggling along the borders, goods smuggling, terrorism, which is very crucial these days. And with that, SBS projects came with major interventions to help build capacity of the Ghana Immigration Service officers to be able to handle some of these things at the borders.
Speaking to Joy News on the sidelines, EU Ambassador Ichad Ramiendraswa Razali outlined key interventions the European Union is undertaking to support the Ghana Immigration Service in strengthening border security.
It's not only on border security, it's the management of the border. So, of course, there is the security aspect of it, for which Ghana Immigration and other agencies, like the Army and the police, are involved. But as I said, the management of the border is not only meant at closing the border. It's about managing who comes in, who comes out in a safe manner, in a context of fight against trafficking, fight against human trafficking, and fight against, as well, potential threats.
Head of the West Africa region for the International Center for Immigration Policy Development, Dr. Mojisola Sodende, believes the 3-day workshop will play a crucial role in identifying and addressing vulnerabilities at Ghana's border, especially as the country prepares for elections.
We can expect to come out with a press release that clearly defines the next steps in terms of new projects. We can also expect to have a list of lessons learned from the last 4 years of project implementation. We can also hope to get a resolution from the various countries that are participating in this project.
The 3-day workshop on border security is set to conclude on Friday. Safa Kote's report for Joy News.
Well, coming up next is Business Updates with Benjamin Akapo.
Well, time now for business. Welcome aboard. And former Finance Minister Seth Terkper has urged government to exercise caution with projections from development partners on Ghana's economic recovery process. According to him, the threats to these projections are evident, hence the need to address them head-on. His advice follows several institutions and the country's development partners, all projecting that the economy is going to recover strongly from next year. Seth Terkper spoke to us earlier on Business Live.
So I would just sound a note of, caution. Yes, we will definitely see some recovery, because if you have been that low with all the injections that we are seeing, it is to be expected. And with the recovery, the global recovery, which I mentioned, it is expected that there will definitely be some progress. But the very fact that, the support both from the IMF and other partners, particularly the World Bank, African Development Bank, and development partners were front-loaded, also means that we are going to get less, to support austerity. And that is our perspective. I say our perspective, obviously, you know what I'm talking about in the context of elections, that the NDC government, future NDC government, is not going to expect, that much resources being pushed into the economy, and therefore, the focus is to go towards a homegrown, policy, as we have had in the past, reforms, deep structural reforms, in order that we can, maintain the momentum.
Well, up next, we serve you our currency market for today. That's it for business this morning. Handing over back to Sweetie Abochi.
Thank you. So you want to stay with us because the news review segment comes right up. Our guest is Afel Moni, former GJA president, and we'll be back in a bit.
Thank you for staying with us. Time now for the news review. And I have, first of all, my in-house guest. She's not doing Mary Poppins this morning. She's popping, but not doing Mary Poppins. Sweetie Abochi is here. We also have former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. I'm talking about Afel Moni He doesn't like me to mention that first name, so I nearly became mischievous and mentioned it. Yeah. You look good in lavender.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought it was lilac.
Thank you so much.
It's a very good color on you.
You just might be, well, lavender and lilac.
That's
now
lilac.
You've got me thinking.
It's lilac, isn't it?
Is it lilac or lavender? This looks
totally
like lavender.
indifferent when it comes to colors.
Yeah. Oh, Ben has that. He's really good with colors.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're welcome.
Thank you.
What's on your mind this morning? I'm eager to hear.
I think the Supreme Court ruling stating the declaration by the Speaker of Parliament that the 4 seats were vacant belongs to history. But the landmark ruling still strikes cause of commendation and condemnation. Commendation in the sense that it has brought finality to this issue, and people can now heave a sigh of relief.
Has it though? Has it brought finality to the issue?
Legally speaking, yes, but practically speaking, we have a long way to go. The clouds are still ominous, and the implications can be impious, to say the least. So there's a need for both sides. There's a need for cool heads. There's a need for apostles and evangelists of democracy, people who have the interests of the nation at heart, to bring the two sides together to chart a peaceful way forward. In 1992, when we as a nation collectively abandoned the bullet course and embraced the ballot box as means of electing our leaders, we were also bound by a common strand woven around the desire to ensure that democracy works. So democracy is not a destination. Democracy is a work in progress. It's a process. So we need to get together, approach the minority. From the look of things, they have something on their minds which can make the work of Parliament unpalatable.
Well, that's something I believe.
If not unworkable.
Roxanne Nelson, one of the things he mentioned the last time, I think it was 2 days ago, when he came on the show, 2 days ago, and he said, you remember the case of Sarah Adwo.
Yeah.
Should we call them the Three Musketeers? Sarah Adwo, and respectfully, I'm just being, jovial. Sarah Adwo, Henry Quartey, the former Greater Accra Regional Minister, who is now Minister for the Interior, and Kennedy Ejapong, and absenteeism on 15 occasions, and what could have been triggered. The last time Roxanne was here, and I told him, look, are we going to do a political tit for tat? Okay, we think you did this here, and maybe the system did this there, so we're also going to trigger this in this place. What basically he's saying is, the committee put out a decision, at least on Sarah Adwo. The thinking is that they will then want to follow through on that process, which means they could oust those 3 MPs and who would have to vacate their seats, which also means there's not enough time for a by-election.
Yeah, sure.
By the rules.
By the rules, yeah.
So it means if they went that way, by a simple majority, they could get that done. That is, if they get the simple majority in Parliament. And I think it's, if it goes that way, then it will just get uglier and uglier,
Last year. So
but I also see why, while I think it's not the right move, right? Because it will simply engender more rancor. I feel they have also come to this point because they feel the system is being manipulated against them. You see,
talking about,
I feel.
Okay, well, when we are done, there's an interesting photo here. I get the meaning based on the information I have from what they've done here, but I'm sure when you look at it yourself, you all get your own meanings from it based on the information that you have. So it says, the matter of Supreme Court versus Parliament, the Winneba Mafia, right? And I want to show you a photo of what they're trying to achieve. Maybe we can put it up.
The bit about the Gates being pictured there is pretty,
so,
because...
well, let me try and explain what the picture is, should I say, insinuating, right? So there's the photo of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokono, here.
Who is on top.
Yeah, in terms of the mafia. It's on your screen, so you can see it. And then the arrow, she hails from Winneba, it's indicated here. And then the arrow points to Apenyo Makin, who is from Winneba.
Sure.
And lawyer to Jogate.
From Winneba.
From Winneba. And Jogate's wife is Efua-Gate, current GBA president, Ghana Bar Association president. And she's friends with the Chief Justice. What are you trying to tell us this morning?
Are they saying something?
Are they?
I don't know what they're saying.
I don't know either, but I mean, grab a copy for yourself and let's get into it. Gentlemen, I think with that, let me start getting into the papers. I will start with the New Republic. That's where we got this interesting photo. And there's no story to it. It's just a picture. It also has how NPP fed SHS students with contaminated rice. Yeah, that story. Very...
That's a good.
I don't know the adjective to use for it. Bakavomawa calls for judicial reforms, denounces Chief Justice systemic abuse and turnout in force for NDC victory. Professor Opoku-Agyemang tells Volta region. When you go in, there are a lot of stories in here, but I want to pick just 3 quickly and then we get into it. John Mahama leads among cross-party supporters and floating voters. Global Info Analytics says Western region shifts signals challenge for NPP in December polls. NDC raises concern over polling station realignment. Of course, it's a politically charged climate. It's 23 days to election, so I'm sure most of the papers are carrying political stories. NDC mounts pressure on EC. Let me see what this story is actually about. So as Ghana approaches the 2024 general elections, the role of the Electoral Commission becomes central in ensuring a credible and transparent electoral process. Transparency from the EC is essential for fostering public trust, affirming the legitimacy of electoral outcomes and maintaining social and political stability. However, any lack of transparency can lead to uncertainty. I want to get to what the story really is. So according to Dr. Edward Omanibuama, the NDC's Director for Elections and IT, he's criticized the Electoral Commission for creating uncertainty around the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. He noted that the EC's omission of essential voter data compromises the transparency and credibility of the upcoming elections. Let me do 2 more stories quickly. Franklin Kujo challenges Baumia on Mahama's, quote, West economic record claim. The founding president and CEO of Imani Africa Center for Policy and Education has issued a sharp rebuttal to recent remarks attributed to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who allegedly claimed that former President and National Democratic Congress flag bearer John Mahama has delivered, quote, the worst economic performance of all presidents in the Fourth Republic. I mean, let's put all this to a debate and then we can decide for ourselves who's done us better and who's, done worse. GAT and its role in the financial sector. Bakavomawa calls for judicial reforms. And CSOs raise concerns over government's plan to deploy military in border communities in the Volta region. I'm interested in this one. With just a few days to the upcoming general elections, 3 civil society organizations, that's the Democratic Credentials Network Ghana, Community Focus Foundation Ghana, and Coalition of Ghanaians Without Ghana Card, have added their voices to the call on the government to desist from deploying military personnel in border communities in the Volta region. The executive director for Community Focus Foundation Ghana, Richard Kasu, said at a press conference in Ho on Thursday, November 7, that Ghana Police Service was capable of enforcing law and order in the communities, while personnel of the Ghana Immigration Service carried out their duties of ensuring sanity along the frontier. So this is just saying that the police and immigration service are well equipped to handle issues around the border. We should not deploy military there. How NPP, this is the last story I will do, how NPP fed SHS students with contaminated rice. In a shocking display of callousness, unbridled greed and undeniable corruption, an investigative report has unveiled a harrowing scheme that has endangered the lives and health of Ghana's senior high school students. The outlandish rendition of the contaminated rice deal has been reviewed by outspoken NDC Member of Parliament Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa in a detailed episode that poses to be the mother of all scandals. And when you get into the story, it's sad that, Ghana, is it Food Authority or FDA, Food and Drugs Authority, somehow missed this. And that's what's shocking to me. But anyway, this story is for a quick reflection, Mr. Money.
Well, I think to be fair to the Food and Drugs Authority, I mean, they conduct their checks, they have their own limitations. They are one of the best in the sub-region, looking at their standards and some of what they do. But some of these things, mind you, the story says they were rebagged and all of that. Those are on the blind side of these institutions. And sometimes it's really difficult having to do this. But if this, I'm always cautious when I'm talking about these things. If this proves to be true, it is serious. This is criminal because you are merely trying to make a quick buck. And so you are compromising the lives of children just so you can make your money. Do you get it? And anything could happen. Some people are more sensitive than others. I have a pretty sensitive stomach, so I'm very cautious about some things I take. You get it? So something that you may take and be fine, I may take it.
Different.
You must look out for people like that. There are people with allergies. Maybe if there are certain contaminants, they react. So if this proves to be true, and I'm using the, if, then it is really sad. It's really sad.
This is weird. But, Mr. Money, what do you make of it?
I think I'm inclined to side with Sir Ben. Yeah, and there's a need. MD has a record of professionalism when it comes to dealing with such matters. So they should either maintain their standard or scale it up.
Okay. All right. Any other stories? So can I quickly, so that I can, when it gets to you, I don't have any other stories. The business analyst, just to run through the headlines. On election 2024, effective fact-checking, non-negotiable GJA president is here saying that 40th Farmers' Day, Agric Minister advocates for climate-resilient agric practices. Take action on climate change. President Akufo-Addo urges world leaders at COP29. Bank of Ghana inaugurates new $250 million headquarters in on November 20th. Now, I want to stay on President Akufo-Addo's call to world leaders to take action on climate change, because the question on my mind is, are we done dealing with the issues of Galamsey here in the country? This morning I was saying that I think the mere thoughts or the conversations around it grates on our leaders, especially because we are going to the polls. So everybody's pretending like, well, there's something happening, but there is nothing happening. Mr. Money.
When it comes to Galamsey, I think we are living in the opposite version of reality. Our water bodies, the quality of our water bodies, the wanton destruction of our forest cover, the recklessness with which people plunder the environment. These are all an indictment on our sense of responsibility as far as the climate change is concerned. We are inviting the worst form of climate change onto ourselves, and this generation will stand condemned at the bar of history for doing practical nothing, even worsening the present situation. Galamsey is a lost cause. There's no comms. It's a lost cause. There's no comms about that. We've lost the battle against Galamsey. It is true. We're told that we're going to enhance the fight against Galamsey, but the opposite is the reality. When the last time we heard about the military men who were deployed to combat Galamsey, they started by burning a number of champagnes.
Three of them.
Yeah.
Three also.
And this reminds me of the case against our leading journalist in Ghana, Erastus, who was molested, and the case is in court. But there's a need for the authorities to fast-track the prosecution of
so some of them have been granted bail, 5 are at large. We brought the reports this morning. I think about 6 of them were granted bail, as said yesterday, and 5 of them are still at large. So that's the latest update we have on that
Some of them have,
of our journalists.
But you see, it also paints a certain picture, because it took some of us making a lot of noise and talking about it time and again. If we hadn't, my question, if we hadn't spoken about it as much as we had, is it because we kept talking about it that some action had to be brought to bear? And it doesn't stop there. What will happen to these people? Because sometimes there are arrests, and before long, you hear nothing about the situation. I don't want to cite other incidents, but I'm just saying, sometimes there are these arrests, and, oh yes, we've arrested, and then you ask yourself, okay, 6 months down the line, what happened in that case?
Multimedia has been doing well by amplifying the need to take action as far as this case is concerned, but I'm utterly disappointed by the lack of support from other media houses. This is a time for us to join forces to fight frontally this issue of Lambussie and the impunity with which it is done, and the lack of action from Akufo-Addo. So this is an issue we need to come together. The media coalition against Lambussie, Ashibe,
Dr. Kenashi.
Yeah, he's just phenomenal, and he needs all the support. And he alone cannot. He said that one finger cannot wash the face. It's a Malian proverb. So there's a need for all the fingers to come together to confront this threat called Lambussie.
And if I may just add briefly to what you said, re-echo your words. I am personally disappointed as well, because this attack, you see, when in Yendi, that City FM, City TV journalist, we all spoke about it when Caleb Kuda and Zoe Abubeido. Maybe I'm mentioning from one media entity, Omni, but I'm just saying that in these instances, some of us spoke time and again about them because we felt, no, it's not some journalist from some entity. It's all of us. When the radio, I think, Adan issue happened, it shouldn't be the case of
No, not at all.
You get it. But indeed, I get disappointed sometimes because what some of us put into these incidents. When Caleb, I met Caleb, I've met him a few times after that incident, and we had a good laugh over some of, these things. So when that support doesn't come, it's their problem, then it becomes a major problem, because someday it will be you and your entity.
Exactly.
And do you expect other people to, bring it to the fore? That's my problem. I think that's a major problem in Ghana.
It is a major problem, because an attack against one journalist is an attack against all journalists. And an attack against all journalists is an attack against democracy, which is the very soul of this nation. So
problem somewhere is a problem everywhere.
Everywhere.
But anyway.
So all of us are bleeding profusely from the attacks against Russell and his colleagues. So there's a need for us to come together to force Akufo-Addo to stanch the blood flow.
But while I'm done with this, it just occurred to me, sweetie, part of why sometimes these things also happen? I feel like in an instance like this, not just the broadcast media, so not just radio, not just TV, but even the print media, media should get on board. But it just hit me. You know why sometimes these things, it's not that people don't know they shouldn't get on board. You know why they act like that? Because of the politics and the ownership of media entities.
I know.
Think about it. Anyway, please go ahead with your paper.
Let's get into your paper.
So, Daily Guide lists with Baumia meeting Catholic bishops, and the story says the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamadou Baumia, met with Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference yesterday at the Pope John Paul Formation Center at Ofuansi, Kokobin in the Ashanti region. The meeting, led by the conference president, Most Reverend Dr. Matthew Kwesi Jemfi, focused on pressing national issues, including the upcoming December 7 polls and the moral fiber of the Ghanaian society. We also have a story, the news conference by the MPP yesterday, which was addressed by the Director of Communications. Thank God he's back, and then firing on all cylinders, Richard Hiagba. And he says NPP has workable policies, unlike their counterpart NDC, which is really on criticism, to quote him. And second Africa Tobacco Control Conference opens in Accra. And we also have this important story. Juraman declares support for VIP. The other day we spoke about the spree with which chiefs are endorsing presidential candidates. I believe this violates the constitution, which bars chiefs from taking active part in partisan politics. But who cares? They know why they are doing that. And December 7 will either vindicate or hold them responsible for what they did. And there's this story which is worth LGBTQ will destroy Ghana. Bawumia is quoted as saying that the LGBTQ, if legalized, will have severe consequences for this nation. Is in the Ashanti region, and according to him, the LGBTQ plus will never see the light of day if he is elected president. Mm-hmm. And there's a lecture by Gallantry Threatened Food Security, which we've touched on. And let me touch on the bereavement of the General Secretary of Assemblies of God, my church, Reverend Stephen Wingham. He's lost their mother. And, yeah, and church leaders, and the other day it was the turn of the flag bearer of MPP, the running mate of the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Matthew Boko Prempe, and he says, former President Mahama to commiserate with him. We are enjoined by the Bible to mourn with those who born. So we are mourning with Stephen Wingham on the loss of his mother, and he happens to be the only child of the mother. So we can imagine the magnitude of the loss. So Steve, take heart. The Lord is your refuge and strength at this trying moment.
Question on my mind this morning is, are we really going to the December 7th polls without a presidential debate, Mr. Money? NPP is touting that they have the best policies. NDC say they have the best policies. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is saying if he's elected president, then he can fix LGBTQ. So let's just put them all on the platform. Tell us what it is. Give us the opportunity to probe and ask you questions all at the same time and answer it. Are we really, Ghanaians, are we really going into the polls without a presidential debate?
We've gone to the polls on several times without a presidential debate. And
isn't it very crucial for this time, where we have a vice president?
We can collectively decide to make it crucial, make it a culture of a presidential system. So that you know that once you put yourself forward to be elected as president, you'll be subjected to such scrutiny. But there's nothing binding the candidate to take part in a debate. And so, again, it's a lost cause. MPP has been pushing for this debate. But I'm inclined to believe that there's a limit to which you should push for this debate. Otherwise, it creates the impression that they need it more than Mahama does. And Mahama is also taking advantage and says there's only for, because they are not on the same scale, to quote him. He and Bawumia are not on the same scale. But whether they are on the same scale or not, I believe December 7th will decide.
And they also make the point that in the past, when he was asking for a debate, he was told to go and debate nurses and KIA. So
yeah, so
that's the instance.
I think I was just salivating for a debate, and it's sad that they're taking that away from me as a citizen, you know,
but
as a journalist, the opportunity to go ahead.
The opportunity to, you know, sift through policies.
Yeah.
But two things actually come to mind very briefly. One, what is the real purpose of a debate? So there are some, I am salivating as well for a debate because, and I'm not saying that necessarily because I feel what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if you felt back then twice, your boss and now, you know, you felt there was no need for a debate. The person had to go and debate ordinary Ghanaians. And he tells you saying, I don't feel it is unfair. But some of these people who put themselves up for president, when I look at them, it would have been good because I feel that is where Ghanaians would have realized that some of them actually, I'm sorry to say this, should not be on the ticket.
Yeah,
it would have exposed some people, clearly.
America, which is...
It would have been so bad because some of those people, and I keep saying it, they come here and you interview them and you know how the Bible talks about weighing and wheat and chaff. And it's unfortunate, but we have a system where everybody is allowed in some way. So that's fine. The other bit though, sweetie, would debates do us that much good? If you look at the manifestos over time, and even the policy breakdowns from Imani and the fact that a lot of these proposals from the NDC and from the MPP, if you put them down to breakdowns, how much it would cost, what likely are the logistics and all of that, some of them, quite a number of them, don't add up. They may not exactly make sense. There's no plan in terms of how they will. It's just about, we'll do this, we'll do that. How will you do it? No business runs like that. In project management, if you're saying you're going to do X, there's a clear plan to how you're raising funds, how you're executing the project, where the funds are coming from, at what time the project is estimated to. They don't have these things. And even where they put bits and pieces of them, we've seen over time how deceitful they have been. So in the end, I'll even ask myself, okay, I am all for debates, right? I am someone who likes to debate ideas. But in the end, would it serve our purpose? They will come and tell us things without proper breakdowns. And you may even get the wrong person convincing you because they are able to articulate. But the reality is the plan may be a hollow plan with nothing to show.
I totally agree with you. But my argument is also that these two, I mean, I'm talking about the two major political parties, NDC and PP. We've seen Bawumia, we've seen Mahama before. They're all asking for a comeback. In the capacity of vice president, you have been in office. Capacity as former president, you have been in office. And they've all sort of left their manifestos, and on their campaign trail, they're making new promises every single day. Okay, so the debate gives us the opportunity. Their mind. Yes, every single day. Recently, was it yesterday also? I heard Mahama talk about a new national cathedral. I heard Bawumia talk about solar something. They've deviated from their manifestos, and depending on where they find themselves, they make promises that they think the people want to hear to give them that mandate come 7 December. I think that a debate just puts them on the same platform. Let's ask, at least if they're giving us hollow responses, beg your pardon, we know who is, we as journalists, we have the facts. Then we can say, Mr. Incoming or wanna-be president, what you're saying is not right. At least we can weigh, like Ben said, each of them's strength. What wavelength are they operating on?
You see,
I think it just gives us the chance to get into it and to dissect whatever promises, however hollow they may be.
But Sweetie, in the absence of debate,
the
absence of debate, I think the media also have a responsibility to subject the various manifestos to absolute scrutiny.
Yeah.
See how workable they are. It's normal around this time for candidates to drench the public and the supporters with a margin of platitudes. So ours is to insulate the public, insulate the voters from drinking, such platitudes, so that they will make informed choices, informed and intelligent choices at the polls. Because we have democracy to build upon. The democracy should not be static. None of us is happy with the state of democracy. Our democratic balance sheet is awful, to say the very least. And when it comes to even the peace index, we are declining. So there's a need for us to ensure that people who occupy positions of power have the necessary character and competence to occupy such positions. And it's the duty of the media to do just that.
I must say that we are doing justice in our own way. I know that PM Express has manifesto tracker every Tuesday where they actually get into, they pick one sector, they get into it, ask the questions to the people who matter. So I can speak
other
for Joy
houses
News
should
and
replicate
say that we are,
what you are doing. But other media houses are just, just replicating, amplifying what politicians are saying without subjecting such pronouncements into scrutiny. So this is what we should do.
I was going to say that you are under the impression that once there's a debate, people will analyze it, all of us, on a certain wavelength. You have a few people do that. The masses will still drink from the pool, from the fountain of propaganda. And I don't. And as a student of politics, if you asked me whether now, because the truth, the reality is that a debate would favor the MPP's candidate more. Why? Because they are suffering more from the effects of incumbency in this sense. After 4 years, you benefit from incumbency. After 8 years, you suffer from incumbency and everything that has been done. It's not about the vice president being able to beat Mahama or Mahama being able to perform better than. It's about who stands to gain more. Politically, if you look at it, the MPP stands to gain more, which makes sense as part of their strategy to push. And it also makes sense. If I were in Mahama's shoes, which is what he's doing, I wouldn't have debated because it is not in my political interest. That is why I think people didn't understand when he said he wasn't on the same level. I don't think it was to denigrate the vice president. No, because these are two very smart people. But I felt it was more of, in terms of benefit, you're not on my level, because if I do this, you are benefiting more from this. So I would leave it
I hold
at
a
that
contrary
point.
view. I think Mama is rather in a position to benefit more from the debate because
you
I
can
have all
punch
the latitude.
all the loopholes that the government,
yes, to punch the loopholes,
you can punch.
the mismatch between policy and implementation.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and all that.
You may not understand me, but maybe later when we have more time, I'll explain better on that. But let me just go very quickly with the Daily Graphic newspaper. 2 modern markets inaugurated in Techiman and Nkranza. Local government minister urges good maintenance. Public split over parliament impasse. Majority rates legislature poor. Others rate average good. That's according to a poll by the Graphic. Border security experts seek effective measures for sub-region. Petroleum hub project will create job opportunities. That's according to the project boss. On the back page, Latter-day Saints transform healthcare delivery in Kolebu and UG hospitals. And GRA certifies 9 companies to enhance revenue mobilization. So from the back page, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has donated medical and non-medical items towards diabetes management and sponsored the renovation of a health facility, all at a cost of $510,000, approximately 8.31 million Ghana cedis. The church donated more than $200,000 worth of modern medical and non-medical equipment to the National Diabetes Management and Research Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and $310,000 worth of items, and carried out the renovation of the obstetrics and gynecology block of the University of Ghana Hospital. I had to mention this because this is something very positive. Diabetes is one of those health issues that has become predominant. And you know, from diabetes and other things, you may end up, for example, with kidney-related issues, which we have seen also come, push on our medical system. Recently, we highlighted the case of, I think it's Rosemond, a 13-year-old. Thankfully, help has come to her. I know of a 6-year-old with leukemia, cancer of the blood, who is also trying to get. So there are so many of these issues, and I think it's a good thing. But if you look at the poll by the Graphic, those who look at the performance of Parliament, those who say it's good, 26.65%. Those who say it's bad or poor, 40.39%. And those who say it's average, 32.96%. That paints a pretty interesting picture about what people think about the performance.
And Ben, I think we should sprinkle a good as recommendation on Graphic, led by this editor for their self-initiated stories on critical issues. This is a very important story. Assessing how people see our present parliament. They have an image to protect. Instead, the image is everything. Once the image is punctured, once your image is dented, then it will have very serious effects on you. So Parliament, people are watching, history is watching. This is the time for you to shape up and wake up in response to the demands and expectations of the people.
I'm not getting into this story, but of course we salute government and the work they've done. The Nanabana market in Techiman and the Nkranza new market are up and running, so to speak. The local government minister is urging good maintenance. So that is that. I would like to wish my mother, Susie Akako, a very happy anniversary.
Sweet
death laid its icy hands on Benjamin Akako Sr. many years ago, but today would have been your wedding anniversary. And I know you weren't expecting this, but happy wedding anniversary to you. Well, that's how we're going to cap it off as far as the news review is concerned.
But I also want to send out, this is coming from our producer, Kingsley, Mr. Otu. A special happy birthday to a special, beautiful and cheerful lady, Francisca Encho of Corruption Watch, CDD Ghana. May God continue to bless and guide you in your difficult line of duty. From Kofi Encho, Kwete Nate and the Popas. Happy birthday to you, Madam Francisca Encho. And that's how we're wrapping up for the news review segment. Our guest to join us in lilac or lavender
So I actually checked.
Yeah.
It's more lavender.
Okay. Money in lavender, former GGA president. It's always a pleasure when you join us for breakfast.
Thank you so much for the compliment.
All right. Please stay for sports coming up next on the. Welcome back. You're still watching the AM show. Now, let's get into a conversation, a very compelling conversation on climate champions. Ghana's youth turn plastic into action. Now, in the studio with me this morning is Jidedi Senaya, founder of Eco Warriors Upcycling Project. I will delve into the critical role that Ghanaian youth are playing in combating climate change through innovative waste management and sustainable entrepreneurship. Welcome to the program, Senaya. How are you? I'm fabulous. Thank you for asking. So what is really this project about? I know that it's for championing climate change action, turning plastic into waste. Our seas are filled with plastic. But you tell us the story. What are you doing?
All right. So the project is to teach young people how to convert our plastic waste into valuable items, such as handbags, aprons, tote bags, and anything valuable you can think of.
Okay.
And this project was inspired by our first workshop at a primary school, where we introduced the youth to climate change, its impact, and the roles they could play in mitigating its effects. So after our first workshop, they came up with interesting things, and some of them used their own creativity to create bags and some of the stuff I mentioned earlier. Yes. So the whole idea was to help them perfect their skills and make saleable items.
So from plastic to purpose, that's the name of this current project you're embarking on. Where are you going? Who are you speaking to? And who is even invited to join you?
All right. So everyone who has an interest in climate change or, say, learning a new skill is invited to participate. The first cohort started last week, 4th November, yes, and it ends just Friday tomorrow, 15th November. However, we'll be having more cohorts. So people can stay updated on our website, gicoccj.org, and our other social media handles.
And so when you talk about this cohort, you mean that the people who've gone through the skills training on how to turn plastic into useful materials?
Yes.
Okay. And so the next time you're doing this is when? So that those who can or are unable to catch it just tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day, which means today and tomorrow.
Yes.
They can catch you the next time.
All right. So we are looking at January next year. Yes. And we'll put out flyers so they can stay updated.
Is there money involved in this? Do they have to pay for the training?
Okay, so no, they do not have to pay for the training. It's sponsored. The first one we are doing was sponsored by YALI, RLC West Africa. Yes, that's the Young African Leaders Initiative. Yes, and subsequently our projects will also be sponsored by the GICO Center for Climate Justice.
Okay, is the USAID as part as well? I see them.
Yes, the USAID works with YALI, yes, to train young African leaders.
Okay, so what is your message to those watching you this morning? Why is it important that what is important that they pick out from this brief conversation we're having this morning?
All right, so I'd like people to know that the climate crisis is real. I've heard many people say that, oh, it's just like something imaginary or something we are overrating. However, it's very real. You can feel that in changes in our weather patterns. Sometimes you expect it to be sunny, it's not. And when farmers are even expecting rain, they don't get it. As such, it affects their yield. So let's all play an active role. You don't have to do anything grand. You can start with practical steps by reducing, reusing, and recycling. Let
me play the devil's advocate, and that's my final bit to you. I've listened to some people who study geography, and they'll tell you that the climate changes every 50 years. So really, what are we on about?
Yes, the climate does change. Climate change is natural. However, in the past decade or over the past century, it has been very intense due to human activity. Yes, so when you research and look at climate data, it will tell you that it's due to human activity. So we are just aggravating the whole thing and making it worse. There's a lot more we can do to improve our current situation.
So it's about mitigating the effects and reducing our own contribution to climate change.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming. Jidedi Senaya, Jokoto Center for Climate Justice.
Jiko.
Jiko. Center for Climate Justice. Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you for having me.
All right, there's still so much coming your way on the AM show. There's that AM exclusive, and then we also have AM business. Please stay with us.
Time now to bring you sports here on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Ghana's Black Stars, they have touched down in Luanda ahead of the African Cup of Nations qualifier against Angola on Friday. The Black Stars arrived at about 5 a.m. per statement from the Ghana Football Association. It says that the team had 3 productive training sessions in Accra before departing for Luanda on Wednesday. Ghana currently sit in 3rd place in Group F with 2 points from their 4 matches, trailing both Angola and Sudan. The Black Stars will be hoping to secure a spot in the 2025 African Cup of Nations tournament, and this match against Angola is critical for their chances. The team will hold their official training session at Estadio November in Luanda on Thursday, November 14 at 8 p.m. local time, and then Angola, who are at top of the group with 12 points and have already qualified, they will also hold their training session at 9 p.m. The game will kick off 7 p.m. tomorrow. Ghana's fate could be decided today if Sudan should get a draw or even win against Niger later today to qualify to the African Cup of Nations. Sudan needs just a point to be able to qualify because currently they are 2nd on the table with 7 points and need just a point to be able to qualify, while Ghana sits 3rd with 2 points, which is 5 points behind Sudan and also 10 points behind leaders Angola. Let's hear from West Ham United striker Mikel Antonio. He's our next guest on Prime Take. He's been speaking about the disappointment if Ghana fails to qualify to the African Cup of Nations.
In January.
Morocco, yeah.
They didn't go to AFCON. They didn't qualify.
Ghana cannot qualify. Ghana has 2 points. And I know maybe oftentimes when you're watching the AFCON, you want to watch Ghana. That would be disappointing, isn't it?
It is very disappointing. But to be fair, Ghana's going through a transition right now. Like, it's one of those things where obviously new players are coming in and stuff like that, trying to find out their philosophy that they used to have. Obviously, the qualities that Ghana used to have, the qualities that, to be fair, they still got the same qualities now. Would you say Ghana had better players back then or better now?
Okay, so many years ago, let me just go back to 2004, 2005, 2006, where we had Michael Essien, Stephen Appiah, Suleiman Tari, Elijah Kingston, we had Eric Addo, we had John Mensah, John Pencil, we had Hans Sarper. These were very good players. Then came Kelvin Prince Boateng. He was part of the squad for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. There was Anthony and Kojo Asamoah. Then Andre Ayew came. In fact, you played with Andre Ayew.
I played with Andre Ayew.
I didn't even ask you about Andre. You played with him.
I played with him. Quality player. Very good. Technically unbelievable. Always knew where the goal was. He was quality. Very good. It's like the Prince of Ghana, isn't he?
Well, in recent times, he's been given opportunities in the national team. So.
Well, he's getting a bit older now, obviously, out with the old, in with the new. That's one thing that happens in football all the time. You get rid of the older players and you try to bring in someone new. It's the same thing with West Ham. Every year they try to get rid of me and try to bring in a nice little young boy, but obviously I'm still there.
You're the Methuselah.
I'm being reasonable.
You're the Methuselah. You're definitely the Methuselah of West Ham United. But that would be very frustrating that all the time they want you to push you out and bring in a young person. But as a footballer, these are things you understand, definitely.
It happens. Like, on the end of the day, players get older, they look for something new, they get new qualities. Obviously, certain things that I could have done when I was younger, I probably can't do now, but there's other things that I brought into my game. As you get older, you find a new way to do things and you get experience. So I'm not as quick as I used to be, but I probably am a bit stronger.
Ghana Football Association Vice President, former Ghana Football Association Vice President George Efree, he has responded to allegations of misconduct following a charge submitted to him by the Ghana Football Association prosecutor. The GFA had said that George Efree, in an interview with a Kumasi-based television station, Kesben TV, had said that the Ghana Premier League outcome has been manipulated by powers that be within the governance of football. And in his response that was submitted to the Ghana Football Association, he defined what match manipulation is per FIFA, and he says FIFA defines match manipulation as the unlawful influencing or alteration directly or by an act of omission, of the cause, result, or any other aspect of a football match or competition. Following this, permit me to cite the following instance which the Ghana League have experienced acts which constitute match manipulation. So he gave them 2 examples and also went and picked up some other website stories and submitted to the Ghana Football Association. So this one instance that he's talking about is the 2021-2022 Ghana Premier League season. According to him, Midiama SC versus Kim Faisal. In the 38th minute of the game, there was a foul committed outside the penalty area of Kim Faisal by a defender of Kim Faisal, but a video watch. The referee picked the foul which occurred outside the penalty area, but signaled for a penalty in favor of Midiama SC, which was an error. We found that decision very strange since the markings were very visible. Well, the Ghana Football Association then decided to sanction the referee. This is what the referee gave to the GFA when he was responding. He said, the referee, Misbah Mohammed, and his assistant referee, Kenneth Chunibua Kodia, both claimed they did not see clearly that the foul was committed outside the penalty area. They blamed each other for the error. The referee said he relied on the assistant referee for his decision, and the assistant referee also claimed that he relied on the action of the referee for his decision. So George Efree, per what he sent to the Ghana Football Association and per what he cited from FIFA, the outcome of that game was influenced by the act of the referees. So he says that the Ghana Football Association match review panel suspended the assistant referee, Patrick Papala, for 1 year for denying Accra House of Folk a legitimate goal in the game against Real Tamale United on March 33 of the 2022-2023 Ghana Premier League season. With a few minutes to end the game, which was held at the Accra Sports Stadium, Yawa Amankwa Befi of House of Folk scored to restore parity as they had trailed 2-1 until then. Papala, the decision of the GFA to also sanction Papala clearly suggested that his action influenced the outcome of the game. So according to George Efree, these incidents clearly manipulate the outcome of games in the Ghana Premier League. He goes on to say that the result meant a loss on the final day could have... So here, however, the goal was denied as a result of Papala, who flagged the youngster offside, thereby denying the Phobians a crucial point while leaving them in danger ahead of their final Ghana Premier League game of the season. The result meant a loss on the final day could have seen House of Oak relegated, but the Phobians were fortunate to have seen their competitors at the time, Tamale City, lose to Midiama on the final day. So he went on to also cite alleged bias. According to him, there were interviews that were granted by other people, the likes of Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, Alaji Cruiser, McDan and co., all saying that the outcome of Ghana Premier League matches are manipulated. But the Ghana Football Association decided to come after him despite comments that had been made earlier by other people. He said the citations made above and the punitive measures given is a clear indication of the GFA not putting pragmatic measures to address potential manipulation. Again, similar comments made by others in the past have gone uninvestigated, which raises concerns and eyebrows about selective prosecution and the fairness of the disciplinary process. It is therefore essential to address the underlying issues rather than targeting individuals. So he feels he's been targeted by the Ghana Football Association. He said, finally, the lack of response by the GFA on the above issue is testament that the GFA agrees that the leaks are manipulated. If the FA had a contrary view of the comments made, I would have taken steps to investigate it. So that's what he's saying. Conclusion, I respect the Ghana Football Association's role in maintaining the integrity and therefore request for a fair hearing and consideration of my response. So he says he's not guilty. And Danny Jordan, he also appeared before a South Africa court on Wednesday for alleged embezzlement of $71,000. That is an equivalent of 1.3 million rands. He was granted 20,000 rand bail, which is equivalent to $1,000. Let's hear what transpired in court.
He might not be allowed to involve himself in official duties of FIFA and his affiliates, Your Worship. Yet again, Your Worship, if a scenario arises where he has to attend to a tournament, a FIFA, or rather a CAF tournament for that matter, which would be running over a period of a month, that might interfere with his appearances in court, Your Worship. And I had the suggestion by my colleague that the investigator
trial, they do not consider them being a flight risk. However, they have requested the court to consider certain conditions pertaining to bail. Pertaining to the surrendering of the passports, it appears from what Mr. Malabate addressed the court, it is more a proactive safeguard than anything else. They also think that they can curtail any possible contact with the witnesses through bail conditions by including a list of which we now know are 19 names contained on which the applicants should not make contact to. Then there was only the slightly higher bail quantum in the amount of 20,000 rand, which the respondent has suggested. Now, after all considered, the court is satisfied that indeed there is no reason to conclude anything other than the interest of justice will permit your release on bail. Pertaining to the quantum, first of all, I do not think that the quantum of bail suggested by the respondent is unreasonable. It appears to be achievable by all the applicants. When considering a bail quantum, the court must not fix bail in an amount which is totally beyond the reach of an applicant, which will tantamount to a denial of bail. But I do not think we are in that ambit. All three the applicants can achieve the quantum of 20,000 rand. And as said, I don't think that is an unreasonable amount. The court will fix bail in the amount of 20,000 rand for each of you.
Folks, if you don't know what's happening from today to the 17th of November at Good Park Accra Mall, then you're missing out big time. I'm talking about the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. And guess what? DPS Pipes and Plastics is one of the sponsors. In the studio with me is Bright Atta, Marketing Officer for DPS Pipes and Plastics, to get into a conversation. Bright, it's always good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine.
I know so much about DPS Pipes, but you tell our audience, for the sake of those watching us for the very first time, who you are, what you do, and why we should pay attention to you.
Okay. My name is Bright. Yes, I'm from DPS Pipes and Plastics. And there is one side of our business, which is the plastics, the quality household plastics. Yes. When we talk about the plastics, that's the DPS bucket. We have DPS foldable chairs, foldable table. We also have the beans, which is the step beans and all that. This brand is popular in the market. Yeah. Yes, we have one unique product, that's the diamond chair. Yes, and this year with the household materials or household items. We are bringing you quality and also offering you a Christmas package in November. Yes.
So it's like Christmas comes early for anyone who's shopping with DPS pipes.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, we normally sell a high quantity from the factory.
Okay.
But we want to come closer to our people and then give them a good package coming this. So we are selling at a whole price.
Okay.
A household, yes.
They say November is Black Friday every day, so
yes.
I'm not surprised that you are celebrating Christmas in November. But you're also sponsoring the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair.
Yes.
And it's happening today. I think you go to the fairgrounds
yes,
right
we are
from
there.
here. But why are you sponsoring? You've sponsored a number of programs. Particularly, what about the Made in Ghana Fair attracted you to come on board?
Yes, DPS Industries and DPS Pipes are made in Ghana companies. They were established here, and we are over decades old here.
Okay.
So we want to give back to the community, yes, what we have been doing all this while. Yes. And this is a popular brand in the market. So instead of you going to buy a retail, we said for the sake of the Made in Ghana Fair, yes, which is a unique platform for us, we want to offer our audience or our customers a wholesale price, yes, direct from the Made in Ghana Fair, for the purpose of the Made in Ghana Fair.
So it means whoever comes to you at the fairgrounds, Made in Ghana Fair Joy Prime,
yes,
gets a special discount or a what, wholesale price.
Yes.
For everything they buy.
Everything
household
you buy.
Plastics.
Household plastic.
Everything that DPS Pipes and Plastics produces.
Yes.
I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. But I mean, for now, you're going to be at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
Why should people come with you? Aside the wholesale price that is very attractive and mouth-watering, I want you to, speak to our audience and ask them to join you at Good Park, because you have more than things that will not even will beat their imagination.
Yes. Yeah, I want to speak to anybody watching me right now that we have a special package for you. We have a unique product that I want you to come and have experience with. So I'm inviting each and every one to visit our stand at the Good Park for the Made in Ghana Fair from today right to Sunday. And then you'll be amazed what you come and experience with DPS Pipes and Plastics. Wonderful discount and quality product,
okay,
unique product for your home.
Okay, but just in case someone wants to pin down where you are located and how to contact you, I think we should put out your contact information out there.
Yes, DPS Pipes is located on the Spintex Road, adjacent the KICC building. You can also contact us on 0543 662727.
Thank you so much, Bright Atta,
Thank you.
Marketing Officer for DPS Pipes and Plastics. And they say they're offering wholesale prices for everything plastic and pipes at the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair happening at the Good Park from now till the 17th of November. Don't miss it. Do well to pass by and get yourself those mouth-watering offers from DPS Pipes and Plastics. Bright Atta, many thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, don't go away, folks, because the AM show is just getting started. We'll be right back.
This is the AM show. Welcome back. And we kickstart our conversations with an interesting one. He's a young man and he contested to become a member of parliament, or at least parliamentary candidate for the MPP in Nsawam. Didn't get the nod, but he's been doing some amazing things at the Ghana Library Authority. And today we host him for a conversation. He is the CEO. Hayford Sian is his name. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
I'm okay. Politics in Asia. I like to, get on this trajectory with him when we talk, because it's always, but you're still in there. Let's start with the Ghana Library Authority. And basically, what you do. I'm sure there are some people who still are not so conversant with what you do at the authority.
Okay, so the Library Authority is a state agency that was established sometime in 1950. And over the last over 70 years, its work has been to establish, equip, maintain, and manage public libraries in Ghana. You know, there are different types of libraries. So we have public libraries, school libraries, academic libraries, specialized libraries. But the law establishing the Library Authority focuses on public libraries. Of course, we do provide technical support to other ministries and agencies with respect to their specialized libraries. We also provide support to school libraries. And of course, now with the introduction of technology, we leverage on technology to be able to also make sure that we reach a lot more Ghanaians with knowledge resources. But over the last 70 plus years, the models have always been to, enter a community, establish a brick and mortar environment, equip it with the relevant knowledge resources so that people within that enclave can be able to have access to the resources in there. And that is what, we do at the Library Authority.
I see. And that's quite, a vast area to look at. And that brings me to my next question, out of curiosity. What was the state of the library system when you took office? This was what, 2017?
2018 January, that's when I assumed office. And of course, so the Library Authority, as I did mention, of course, we have to make sure that we provide a lot more footprint across the country so that the Ghanaian citizens can have access to the facilities and the resources in there. In 2017, when we took over and handed over notes and everything was done, we had 61 public libraries in Ghana.
61.
61. And out of the 61, of all the 61 libraries, the books on the shelves of these 61 libraries was just around 349,000. But just oppose that with what was the situation in 1981, because I just want you to have a bit of as comparative assessment to really appreciate the.
So did you just mention 1981?
1981. I mentioned 1981. We had 36 libraries in Ghana.
Okay.
On the shelves of the 36 libraries, we had over 1,040,000 books. Fast forward to 2017, we had increased the network of public libraries to 61, but the books had reduced to less than 400,000. So,
oh wow! So the libraries had increased, but the books, what you would go to a library for,
had diminished. So there was very low patronage with respect to people's use of the resources at the various libraries. There was the non-existence of internet infrastructure. There was no computers in most of our libraries that were set up. What we have done over the last few years is to be able to, of course, increase the footprint, because you cannot have over 260 district and municipalities and only be operating 61 public libraries. So the government, within the framework of the 2018-2030 strategic plan, which had proposed that we should have about 540 libraries by 2030, we decided to go an aggressive strategy to be able to devise different strategies to be able to expand the footprint. Today, we have added 72 new libraries to the network. So we're managing 133 libraries under the Ghana Library Authority. Books on the shelves, which had declined to less than 400,000. Today, we are hitting almost 2 million books on the shelf for public library.
Are these evenly distributed? I mean, it may not be exactly that 10,000 books per library, but is there some evenness in the distribution so that it's not lopsided? One has 50,000, another one has 2,000. What's the status
of course,
of that?
Depending on the size of a library will determine the number of books in there. So a typical library will usually have maybe about 5,000 to 10,000 books. But then when we have a bit of a mega library, like the one we have at Kakudi, which has about 25,000 books. When you come to Accra Central, we have about... Which
one is it? Is that the one from Gold House?
Gold House,
going
yes.
Towards the Zenith Bank?
Exactly. So the size really determines the number of resources that are made available. And also if we look at the dynamics with respect to the use of the resources, because there are some libraries that you have a lot more kids patronizing, which means that you provide a lot more children-friendly materials, whilst some libraries had a lot more adult patronage. So you rather give them a lot more adult content to meet their needs. And so when it comes to the footprint, this is what we have done. When it comes to the resources with respect to the book resources that, of course, everybody expect to enter a library and find, we've managed to increase it from less than 400,000 to now almost 2 million. The other component is, of course, technology. And with technology, what we have been able to do is that, yes, of course, we understand that it's quite difficult for us to reach every household, but through the use of technology, we can be able to give Ghanaians access to resources. And so we launched the Ghana Library app, which is available on both Play Store and App Store. And with the Ghana Library app, once you are within the geographical location of Ghana, the confines of Ghana, you can download the app and have access to some of the resources that we've put in there. And so if you're a parent, I mean, you are watching us, you can actually even try it right now. Not only do we have ebooks, but we also have audiobooks, and we have also video tutorials. So video tutorial, Ghana Education Service, when they launched the Ghana Learning TV, just like you have the Joy Learning channel, they did record some tutorial videos. We've uploaded all of these videos on the platform. So if your kids need extra tuition, maybe on social studies or mathematics, you can actually go on the app, look at the class level of your child, the topic or the lesson number, and be able to offer them opportunity to access the resource. So this has also been done. So beside this opportunity to use the app to access resources, of course, there's also the library space itself. When people come in, are they able to have access to connection, internet? Are they able to have access to digital devices?
What's the status of that?
So with that, we've procured over 1,000 computers that we've shared across most of our libraries across the country. And under the Ghana government digital strategy, we've also expanded internet connectivity to almost half of the libraries that we have across the country. And so with these computers within the library space, another significant role we are able to play is to be able to allow schools within the communities that these libraries are located to be able to use our resources to teach the children ICT. Most of our schools, of course, they're supposed to write exams in ICT, but they do not have computers at their disposal. So with this sort of community hubs, you are able to leverage on the library's resources with respect to computers. And, teachers bring in the kids and they're able to use the computers at our disposal to, of course, teach the kids. Beside that, you also have adult that comes in for research purposes using the computers and the internet resources. Of course,
how many of such do you get, let's say, in a year, in a month? How many of those do you get? Do you have any?
With respect to?
I mean, those who may be coming for research purposes, for example.
Okay, so
I'm sure you are keeping tabs. You want to know who is coming for what, because it will also let you know what we should be focusing on, where we should be honing skills, what people need, and then trying to meet those needs, right?
Yes. So across the country, we've seen a significant increase in patronage. So we used to record around 350,000 visits annually in 2017, 2016. Today, we are almost at 1.8 million visits annually, which means that a lot more people are visiting the library and using the resources. Then you come to the number of kids. So you have about 80% of patronage being children, and you have 20% being adult population patronizing our libraries. And so you find a significant number of people that are using our libraries being kids between, of course, the ages of 18 and below. And they form about 80%. And so if you have about 20%, that's sort of across the country, the average number of adults. And these are the people that are usually using some of our resources, of course, with respect to the computers for their research and self-learning.
Right.
And within the spaces that we've set up the ICT corners or the tech corners, we also leverage on that to be able to also allow Ghanaians to participate in massive open online course programs. And so, we recall that when we had the last interview, I told you about the partnership we had with Commonwealth of Learning that allowed Ghanaians to enroll on Udemy and Coursera to undertake some of these micro-certificate programs. At our various libraries, we offer the opportunity for the youth and adults alike to be able to have use our computers to access some of these resources.
So you've said a lot about initiatives, right? Key initiatives from the Ghana Library app, which allows people to come on board. By the way, is it free?
Yes, it's free. So,
it's free. So all the person has to do is download it.
It's download. And the good thing is that, the major telcos, Telecel and MTN, have all zero-rated it, which means that it doesn't actually take charges from your data that you have.
Okay, and it is on iOS, it is on the Android as well.
Yes.
Okay, that's the App Store and Android. Right, but I'm curious, after all these initiatives, after all these policies, what has been the impact? People often say that in Ghana, not too many, the masses may not be so concerned about picking a book or going online and reading a book from cover to cover, absorbing that. What has been the impact of these initiatives on different fronts, but also specifically in respect of people? Are you seeing more numbers?
Yes, like I did mention, when I took over, for example, library patronage was around 350,000 or so. But today...
Per year?
Yes, per year. But today we are recording like almost 2 million, 1.8 million to 2 million averagely. And this is the case because of the investment that the government has made into public library networks across the country. Because you know what? If I want access to some resources and I not have the money to be able to buy the book, the option for me is to go into the library space to be able to make use of the materials that are available. When we introduced the Coursera and the Udemy platforms, for example, we had over 50,000 people signing up for those programs. Some people today...
But these are programs that ordinarily... I mean, I've taken courses from Coursera, EDX, among others.
Yes.
These are things that people can do without necessarily coming to you.
Yes, but for you to get yourself, you needed to pay for it to be able to
Okay, so you subsidize?
You don't pay because Commonwealth of Learning have taken off the cost.
Okay, so those who go through your route, in terms of the certification, they don't have to pay the little sums they would have paid.
It's a lot of money if you're paying $40 for a course.
Well, I know, there were some I took you were looking at $14.
Yes. So, I mean,
but it's a lot of money thanks to the exchange rate. It's a lot of money. I get your point.
So we've managed to allow people, and the point I want to make is that people that benefited from the program, some of them have either gotten promotions at their workplaces, they've gained new skills. Some people are actually working remotely.
Some of them have gained promotion.
Yes, some people are also working remotely for companies across the ocean because they have certain skills. Because some people are doing remote user experience design. Some people are doing, some project management for other companies. Some people are operating really some other areas that even when they were taking the course, they had no idea, about what they were doing. And so that's really an impact, especially for the adult population when it comes to scaling, that they managed to leverage on this platform to acquire new skills. Of course, parents' ability to buy, a lot more storybooks for their kids. Once they have access to our libraries, they are now able to come and borrow. I mean, when you pass by the airport library, maybe use that route, you can check it out. Parents come over the weekend, they borrow a bunch of books, take home for 2-3 weeks, get their children to exhaust them, and then they bring them back. And that's really a cost burden that has been reduced because if there was not existing, you'd probably be going to the bookshops, buy a lot more books. Right. And so that's really an impact that has been made, for those.
Let's talk about. I mean, in some jurisdictions, I've seen book barrows, wheelbarrows with books, and others mobile, portable libraries. You have a mobile library service. Tell us about that.
Yes. So across the country, we have 11 vans. That are attached.
They are vans?
Yes, they are vans. So they're attached to some of our libraries within the regions, and they're able to commute into communities with our libraries. But it's really demand-driven. And so if you are a community and you're interested in benefiting from the service of the mobile library service, the van is able to come in there. And the good thing is that we do not only go with books, but we also go with tablets and computers, so laptops. And we allow schools within the communities that we visit on this mobile library outreach to be able to also use the laptops to teach the ICT courses. Because, some schools, of course, don't have access to computers. And so if we're going with books, we want them to have the same experience that you would have otherwise had, from our static library environment. And that is also a critical service that, that's what the UN Public Service awarded us, in 2021 on the.
And I'm sure this will also help those communities that may not necessarily, because it's always about trying to reach those who perhaps are most deprived.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So that they can also be a part of the rest of the system and not be deprived of certain benefits.
Exactly. And, for us, even the goal is that every single public library should even have a mobile library attached to it, because
I think that will even excite people.
Oh yes.
When even if you know there's a library and people are not coming, when they see the van going round and maybe someone picks a book and someone tells a story, oh, I love that book. Yes. Then by word of mouth, interest is developed. But on the back of that, I'd like to find out, we have a National Development Planning Commission, and sometimes it appears even what they plan is not affected by the political parties. But I'm curious, do we ever factor in public libraries and stuff like that into our development planning?
Unfortunately, we have not, as a country, been very good at it. You know, if you look at it, even the education strategic plan that had been developed over the years, until, you know, when Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh was developing the 2018-2030 strategic plan, Ghana has never made any concrete attempt to even incorporate the delivery of library resources into our education strategy. But today, we have, you know, at least a target within the education strategic plan to be able to achieve for Ghana when it comes to you know, the footprint of public libraries in the country. In Ghana, never had the opportunity to even political parties make a statement on the development of public libraries. But we are glad for the commitment of His Excellency the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, and the Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, for being committed to, you know, making sure that Ghanaians have access to public library in the country. And today, His Excellency the Vice President uses our achievement within the public library space to be able to make a case to Ghanaian people how well this government has performed. Never has it been the case for any other political party in Ghana to even be able to do that, because it has never been part of their plan.
But this should not even be political, right? It's a national.
It
should be a national drive rather than a political.
Of course, but you know, national policies and programs are driven by politicians that we vote into power. And so, if politicians haven't demonstrated enough commitment to be able to expand access to these knowledge hubs, then it's a problem. But we are glad that, you know, today we've seen that commitment coming. We've seen the New Patriotic Party making a commitment to be able to support and improve public library access in the country, supporting the Ghana Library Authority to expand from 61 to 133 digital library infrastructure, computers being bought and distributed across public libraries in Ghana, investing a lot in acquisition of books. Books are the most expensive resource. If I tell you that the books on this shelf might cost 1 million, you will be amazed how expensive these books resources are, especially textbooks. Very expensive. But we are glad that we've gotten that commitment to be able to do that for the people of Ghana.
Okay. Before we go, I'd just like to, and as you give your final words, it's always said that legacy, the quality of a leader is not just what the leader does, but the fact that the leader puts systems in place so that even if he's not there, the system works. Take out the politics and the fact that you could be retained whether your party wins or not, or you could be, you know, set aside if another party comes to power. What would be your legacy? What have you left so that no matter what, this will be a trajectory that will continue? Those are my final days.
Thank you very much.
Briefly on that.
Yes, what we have done at Ghana Library Authority is actually, what I'm very proud about is the system we've put in place. The key fundamental thing you need to do within the public library service is the development of your scheme of service that allowed you to be able to bring in the right personnel with the right skills and be able to offer them the continuous professional development so that they can be able to contribute optimally to the delivery of the service for which you are mandated to do by law. Now, at Ghana Library Authority, we have managed to develop a new scheme of service 2021. And within that scheme of service, we've managed to also bring in new professional groupings. So when I went to Ghana Library Authority, there was no existence of a human resource department. There was no estate department. When an agency law makes it mandatory for it to establish public libraries. Right. Today we have an estate department that is leading the footprint expansion.
Okay.
We've managed to also, within the framework, also bring in the needed skills, invest a lot in continuous professional development. So for me, I think my legacy will be the investment that I've been able to.
So whoever takes over, the blueprint is there.
The blueprint has been laid down perfectly. The right personnel are in place to be able to make sure that
to execute the agenda.
To execute that.
We have to go, but I just saw this comment. I feel I wouldn't do service to this person if I don't read it. He says, It's Emmanuel Prekel. He says, I want to learn Python programming on Udemy, but I can't afford it. I'm hearing it's free at the Ghana Library. How can I benefit?
So
is that,
yes.
are all of these available?
Yes,
on
it's
Udemy?
available. So he should just go on our website and send us an email, and they'll respond and hook him up.
All right, so Emmanuel Prekel, go to the Ghana Library Authority's website.
Library.gov.gh.
Right, send an email and they'll take it from there. Library.gov.gh. Efotio, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And that is the CEO of the Ghana Library Authority, Efotio. He joined me for a conversation. Before we come through with AM Exclusive, let me tell you about this year's CompuGhana Cashback. Oh yeah, you want some cashback, right? It's been named Prime Cashback Season, and it's packed with incredible deals and exciting prizes. Loaded. Now, this Prime Cashback, CompuGhana is bringing you exclusive discounts, prime savings, and awesome surprises when you shop products from any of their branches nationwide. You can find products from your favorite brands, no matter what they are. Samsung, LG, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Midea, NASCO, Tecno, Infinix, ITEL, Huawei. All of them are in there. Visit any of the CompuGhana branches nationwide and enjoy exclusive discounts on all products. Now note, CompuGhana has a vast range of IT-related products, mobile phones and electronic products such as laptops, printers, desktops, tablets, television sets, fridges, home theaters, air conditioners, gas cookers, and more. What's more amazing is that this year's Prime Cashback with CompuGhana has got great prizes with instant gifts and cash prizes for your shopping experience. So, when you shop at CompuGhana this season, be on the lookout for the surprise team, answer a question correctly, and win instant cash and gifts. You deserve this opportunity too. Rush to CompuGhana now. The promo runs from now till December. Visit CompuGhana.com or call them on this number, 0302 752 020. That is 0302 752 020 for more information. Now, when we return from our break, it is AM exclusive time, and we're going to be having a conversation with Mrs. Tuchi Ivowi. She is CEO of the Ghana Commodity Exchange. Our very own Sweetie Abochi will be on that beat, but right after the break.
Welcome to AM Exclusive on the AM show. Of course, my name is Sweetie Abochi, and we're coming to you today from the Africa Trade House. Now, I had my own introduction of the guest for today, but while waiting for our crew to set up, I found this really riveting profile or bio in the 2022 annual reports for Ghana Commodity Exchange. I've given you a clue, so here it is, who we are speaking to today. She is the Chief Executive Officer and a founding member of the Ghana Commodity Exchange. Her professional experience of over 20 years spans the UK, emerging markets of Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa's private and public sectors. And she specializes in strategy, innovation, and business turnaround. Prior to joining the Ghana Commodity Exchange, Mrs. Tuchi was the first female and first Ghanaian business executive officer for Nestle Central and West Africa. During her 15 years with Nestle, she worked in various roles, and it goes on and on and on. But what struck me, she's a thought leader. She speaks and writes on leadership, marketing, communications, and intra-Africa trade. And she's a contributor to the Harvard Business Review, and that is the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK's Catalyst magazine for marketing practitioners. Our cherished viewers, this is AM Exclusive with Mrs. Tuchi. Thank you so much for joining us for AM Exclusive.
Thank you, Sweetie, for the invitation.
Can I just refer to you as Mrs. Tuchi?
Tuchi is okay.
Tuchi is okay.
Mrs. Ivowi, but Tuchi is my first name.
All right,
Tuchi
so Tuchi is fine.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this. So your career spans across many different fields. I know you have a double master's in politics and French and so on and so forth. But in the first 20 minutes of this conversation, we want to unravel you. Who really is Tuchi? So can you give us a bit of background to from education to how you came to be the founder, right? For a founding member
yes.
of Ghana Commodity Exchange. What's the story?
Education, I'd say I've always loved education. I've loved to study my entire life. From the moment I could speak, I was interested in reading. And I remember one of the first things I read was a newspaper. My dad was always, you know, reading. And so education is something that I've always cherished. Regarding the choice of subjects, you could say there were quite a few areas of interest I had. I was interested in journalism. I was interested in law. I was interested in the end, I studied political science with French. I loved languages. So it was really, you know, options were there, and it was about, you know, choosing one ultimately. But if I had time, I would keep on studying and keep on studying just for the love of it. I love to learn. I love, you know, growth, the growth that comes with learning. So yes, I ended up doing political science with French as my first degree. I later did an MBA. And, you know, learning is really a continuum. I contribute, like you said, to professional publications and so on, and all of that. I mean, the more you teach, the more you learn, the more you grow yourself. So that's the area I studied. When I started my career, I started in a publishing company in the UK.
I was going to ask if you ever practiced journalism, because I'm interested in that bit.
No, let's say I played a little bit with journalism. One of the early internships I had was actually with Reuters news agency in the UK, and that was really a pride for me because it was difficult to get, or let's say to land that internship. So going in there and, you know, having a feel for the world of journalism was wonderful. Similarly, I had a wonderful internship at a law firm in the UK. So you could say all the areas of passion, at least I've done a little bit of, you know, something in those areas. But ultimately, I ended up spending a bulk of my career in the marketing communications industry. And that's what led me, starting with Ogilvy Ghana. When I moved to Ghana from the UK, after a couple of years in the publishing company, I started with a communication agency in Ghana. That's what then led me to Nestle, who was one of my clients. So I let's say I started the Nescafe brand in Ghana. I was brought there to really start to develop the coffee business for Nestle in Ghana. That led me on to other projects within Central West Africa. I also went to Indonesia as part of my time with Nestle, still working on the coffee business. And then eventually in end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I came to the Ghana Commodity Exchange to help set up this institution that we're now, you know, in its 6th year of operation.
So help set up, and we'll get to what you actually do, you as a person, as the CEO, and what the Ghana Commodity Exchange does, the value it brings to the economy and all that. But your experience spans across many fields, like I said. Is there a particular thing about your interest, passion, everything that you've done that you say has shaped you to become a powerhouse of a woman that you are right now?
So within, you know, when you're working in marketing roles, you'll find, especially, you know, one of my earlier roles was as a brand manager. So I was the brand manager of this wonderful Nescafe brand. And as a brand manager, you're looking really at the entire value chain. So you're looking not just at the brand that you see in the shops, the products you see, the television adverts that bring it all to life, but everything before that. You're responsible for the P&L, the profit and loss account for that brand. You're responsible for developing, you know, how the brand looks and sounds and feels. You're working with teams, cross-functional teams in the product development space, in the supply chain space. You're doing forecasting, demand and supply. So it's really, you can see it as a mini business. You're kind of like a mini business manager. You're a business manager for a brand. So I started in the field of brand management. I moved on to marketing manager type roles. And then I also had managing director roles also with Nestle. And what the time with Nestle also afforded me was the exposure to other markets. So I worked not only in Ghana, but you know, in other countries in Central and West Africa, and then also Southeast Asia. Some of the stints were not only in one country, but also managing a business across the 23 countries of Central West Africa as well. So what that does, it allows you to understand the importance of diversity. When I talk about diversity, I mean, I'm really talking about, everything that encompasses. You have people with different trains of thought, you have different experiences, different skills. It's not just about the common things you talk about today and things like gender, but what cultural diversity, neurodiversity, and all of these things bring is really a vast playing field when it comes to skills. So you learn how different skills can come together to create something really special, versus if you were just working with one type of person or one type of team. Fast forward today, what I'm doing is really very different from what I've done, in the prior 20 years of my experience. But at the same time, you'll find that there are threads that come through. So you find that I mentioned coffee a few times. So I spent quite a number of years working on the coffee business.
Yeah. Do you love coffee?
I love coffee.
Okay.
In fact, there was a time I shouldn't say I was drinking about 10 cups of coffee. I've gone down to about 2 or 3 a day now. But
That's
yes,
progress.
I love coffee. I become obsessed with what I do, and it's a wonderful thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, so you see that I worked on the coffee business. So whilst I was working end to end and developing a brand, today I'm back to basics and working really on the commodity side and working from farm, working with farmers, working with traders, and looking for access to markets both locally and internationally. But there's a direct link to what I was doing before. When it comes to working with different types of people from different backgrounds, what we do here at the Exchange, we work with smallholder farmers, commercial farmers, financial institutions, development partners, governments.
We'll get there in just a bit.
Yes, it's just to give you the context. You're asking what has led me to come here today, and I'm saying that there are so many paths that cross.
Right.
So every single stage of my life, my journey, my career, you can see there are things that you learn, you take from and apply to different areas. So essentially, I'd say that it's been rich. One thing I'd say is that I learned never to outright say no to opportunities. Before, when opportunities were presented to me, I might think, oh, is this something I want to do? Is it, is this an area that I should even be going into? Is this an area I'm qualified for? I'd ask all these questions, but once I was given some advice by one of my previous managers, and he said, you know what, never be quick to say no to an opportunity, because you never know, it's that opportunity that might end up changing or shaping your life. And since I took that on board, I can tell you some of the opportunities that I ended up jumping on have literally been catalysts and life-changing experiences, both personally and professionally. So that's one thing I'd say, it has been critical to where I am today, to what I do, is allowing opportunities to be presented, but also embracing those opportunities.
I agree that your experiences have been and is very rich. But you mentioned diversity, and not just for gender, but I host Women Power Politics on the Joy News channel, and when you engage some of these influential women, they tell you that we all really have the same problems. You think you're insecure about something, you want to look good, you want to be known for your work and all of those things, and every woman who's in a position of power deals with the same issues, whether it's discrimination because of your gender. How do you navigate this terrain? I don't want to say that as a woman, do you find any challenges in this role because you're qualified, even more than qualified? But do you get these experiences sometimes? The stereotypes, because you're a woman, do they treat you differently?
I'd say even if they want to treat me differently, they don't, or it doesn't work, or my energy and my space doesn't allow it, because I go into every environment, prepared for the job at hand. It doesn't take more than a minute or two with me to kind of break any preconceptions or anything like that, because it's really about what I'm bringing to the table at any point in time. I don't say that discrimination doesn't exist, and and like you said, I've spent a lot of time with wonderful women, powerful women, and there are so many different stories, and sometimes I'm really surprised at those stories. So I wonder, either it's happened to me, but I've been blind to it because I don't respect such barriers. But I honestly haven't felt it as much as maybe other women. I have to say, maybe a large part of that is also the kind of environments I was working in before. So I was working in multicultural environments. when I worked in the regional office, I mean, there were people from maybe 30 different countries. So what that does is, you know, different backgrounds come with different values. And it's true that I think in the African setting, there is a lot more maybe chauvinism to some degree. There are differences in views when it comes to male, female leadership, whereas in other cultures, leadership is just considered that leadership, and it doesn't, you know, gender is not attached to it. So maybe I've benefited from working in some of those backgrounds before. Now I'm working, you know, in a, let's say, almost purely Ghanaian environment as we're building the Ghana Commodity Exchange.
Okay.
So before we've, you know, tapped into global markets, and also it's, you know, public sector, largely public sector driven, a lot of the work that we do, although there's a huge private sector element as well. So definitely it's different to what it was in the purely private sector, multicultural environment. But no, I think that, like you said, when you're qualified, that always always comes through, and eventually preconceptions, you know, start to drop or fade.
Okay, you said as you're building the GCX. So for those who are unfamiliar with that's the Ghana Commodity Exchange, and you are the CEO. So for those who are unfamiliar with it, could you describe the core operations of GCX and what you really intend to achieve? What gaps did you seek to fill with this institution?
Maybe I'll mention the 4 pillars. So we talk about the commodity exchange providing access to markets, access to finance, access to storage, and access to information. So we're kind of dealing broadly in these 4 areas. I sometimes like to describe the exchange platforms in 2 ways. One, I say, if you have a little inkling what a stock exchange is, you can imagine a commodity exchange is similar. It deals in the facilitation of trade, but instead of stocks, we're dealing in the facilitation of the trading of commodities. So commodities are actually securities. People can buy and sell, and people can also buy to use the end commodity. The other story I tell is a lot of people know Amazon. So people go online to shop, even from Ghana, from all over the world. And it's a little bit like that. We help, again, we facilitate in the trade of commodities. It's electronic trade. So sellers who have a commodity to sell can come to the platform to sell their commodities. Buyers who are looking for a commodity will come to our electronic platform to look for those commodities. So the only difference between us and an Amazon in the technical sense is that a commodity exchange is membership based.
Okay.
So we function around rules. We are regulated. We're regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Ghana. So there are different rules, but essentially, if you are a member, you can sell your commodities through the exchange, or you can come to the exchange platform to buy commodities. So here, when I talk about the platform, I'm often talking about the electronic trading platform. So now we have some warehouses that we manage. So sellers who have commodities to sell will deposit those commodities in our warehouses, where we certify them, we standardize them. If they're not of food grade quality, we can't actually take them in. But if they are, when we talk about certification and standardization, we'll look at your commodity and we'll tell you if it's the highest quality or the lowest, you know, food grade quality, and so on. So there are grades 1 to 4, with 1 being the highest. We certify that, and then we store that for you. When you're ready to sell your commodity, you can go into the platform to put your commodity up for sale. As a buyer, if you're looking for a certain standard or a certain quality grade, you can come to us. You know, if you go to the open market, and again, I always say there's nothing wrong with open market. There are alternative forms of trade. People who like to shop, I don't like shopping much myself, but people who like to shop like options. Sometimes you want to go into the shop, sometimes you want to shop online, sometimes you want a personal shopper if you can afford one. And I think alternative markets are good. But, you know, if you go to the open market and you want to buy any grains, you're going to buy it. You're not. There isn't such a thing as grade 1, 2, 3, or 4. No, you're just buying it in the Olonka rubber or the sachet or whatever size you're looking for. When you're coming to the exchange, you know if you're going to get a grade 1. And this is important if you're producing things like baby food or adult nutrition. You want the highest quality food grade. If you're buying grains for animal feed, you may go for a lower grade, for example. So buyers who are looking for a particular quality will come and purchase from the exchange, knowing that they're guaranteed that quality. So the role we play as a counterparty or as an intermediary is we guarantee the quality of the commodity for the seller who deposits with us. We have good storage conditions which maintain your quality, and we guarantee the quality of the commodity for the buyer who's looking for a particular commodity. So we have all sorts of mechanisms in place to ensure that and to guarantee that trade. So,
before this, you mentioned that you work with smallholder farmers. What is the direct connection there? Are they do you go to them directly to when they harvest their produce to put them in your warehouse? How does that work? What's the relationship there?
Okay, so I'll come right on that because I just mentioned the storage. So the access to storage was one of the pillars. So people can come and store and preserve their quality. When I talked about access to markets, so now the seller, who can be a smallholder farmer or can be farmer cooperatives or can be commercial farmers or traders, now they know that buyers can come to our platform, so they have access to more buyers than they may have had if they were just waiting on at their farm gate for people to come and buy. Here they can deposit it and know that there are loads of buyers who they may never have met before. So this is what we talk about, access to markets. Okay. Then we talked about access to information. So when a trade is made, every day we share the price information of the commodities to the sellers, to the traders, so they know the value of their commodity. So where hitherto they may have been, waiting on their farms for buyers to come negotiate a price, they take the commodity and they really don't know the value of their commodity. Because this is a transparent method of trading, they understand that, when I have a higher quality grade, I may even get a premium on prices. They get price information every single day. And that helps in terms of negotiation power. It gives, people actually a chance to get the value for their commodity. So this is the access to information part. Now, the smallholder farmer who wants to sell on the exchange may find it difficult because their volumes may be too small. I have to say that to be able to trade on the exchange, the minimum volume is 1 metric ton. So it's actually accessible. It's highly accessible. But at the same time, you may not want to be traveling with 1 metric ton all the way to a warehouse to wait for trade and so on. So what they do is they come together as farmer-based organizations or cooperatives. They'll group together their commodity, put it in one of the district warehouses, and when they have, what they consider to be a decent quantity, then they would bring it to trade. So they'll be doing it together as a kind of cooperative.
Is it your personnel who facilitates that as well, or they do that on their own and then they come to you after they've when they reach that 1 metric ton or more?
So we have our personnel facilitate. So we have aggregation and farmer support officers on the field. So they go, they meet with the farmers, and they can even check there to give them an idea if the quality is even good enough to bring, so that they don't have to transport it all the way only for it to be rejected. But yes, generally, if the quality is good and they're ready to sell, they would bring it to a warehouse. The difference is that we don't charge anything until they've made their trade. So they pay for the storage after they've sold and gotten their money. So we're very accessible. People will ask you, if you're doing all this, how come we don't know about GCX? And one of the things I always say first is that in those communities where we have warehouses, they do know of us, because we do community engagement. When we're going to open a warehouse, we spend time with farmers in the area. We go to the markets, we have town halls, but we haven't been, making widespread information because we're not everywhere. So on the one hand, you don't want to make all this noise and you want people are going to come wanting to use your services and then they can't have access to the services. We'll just be disappointing people. So this has been a kind of gradual effort in terms of...
Hence you said building.
We're still very much in the building stage. Yes.
Okay, I think it's an interesting dynamic, and many not just agricultural resource persons or stalwarts will tell you that it is the backbone of Ghana's economy, but there are so many challenges in there. You can talk about infrastructural gaps, access to information even, and all that. Do you intend to stand in the gap in terms of what you're doing here, which is very beneficial to those who are on board the the Exchange Commission, and there are many farmers left who still experience post-harvest losses, still don't know what to even do when they harvest their produce. How do you intend to stand in the gap?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And, you know, the job is so big.
Yeah.
It certainly won't be one institution or one sector that's going to make it work, but we do need to work together. The Ghana Commodity Exchange comes in at post-harvest. So we don't come in at pre-production or production stages. We've got there are a lot of efforts being made by the Ministry for Food and Agriculture when it comes to planting for food and jobs, growing the yield, quality of crop. There are extension workers, and there's work being done in that area. GCX comes in at post-production. So once you have your commodity and you're looking for access to markets, that's when you come to the exchange. You mentioned post-harvest losses, and yes, this is key, and this is definitely one of the areas that we stand in the gap, but we want to do an even bigger job going forward. Because when you bring your commodities to our warehouse, we basically guarantee not just the quality we talked about, but also the quantity. So a lot of commodities go to waste. They die simply because of lack of storage or poor storage conditions. And it's estimated, depending on the grain or the crop, up to 40%, sometimes in some crops even more. But let's say maize is touted to be about between 30–40% post-harvest losses, mainly because of lack of access to storage. When you bring commodities to a GCX warehouse, you basically lose nothing. We give you a provision to lose about 1%. And that's just moisture loss, because over time you lose the commodities lose moisture, the grains lose moisture. But apart from that, it's almost 100% preserved. So imagine if we had more of these warehouses and we could store them in these same conditions. That 40% literally is money going to farmers' pockets because they can sell it. So think of how much more how much you can save as a country, but also how much you can gain as a farmer, as a trader, just by you know, good storage conditions. So yes, that's definitely one area that we plan to stand in the gap. I say plan to because yes, we've started, but we only have, you know, about 10 warehouses currently to date. 10. So how big is one warehouse? And one is about 1,000 metric tons, and so you have to turn it around quite a few times. And what we found in the last couple of years is the commodities come in and they go out pretty quickly because we're not able to even meet the current demand, you know, from the buyers in the market. So you can just imagine if the scale were bigger, how much more we could support this area when it comes to post-harvest management. Yes.
And you are actually saving not just farmers, the country some money in terms of the losses that these farmers are making and how they can actually get value for their produce. Can we quantify it so we understand the value that you're bringing, not just these farmers, but the country as a whole?
I would put it in broad terms to say, when you have enough food to feed the population, when you're producing enough for consumption and then you're producing excess, that's where real power then lies. So at the first, in the first part, you're talking about food security. Then you're talking about access to markets. So once you've fed your population and you have excess commodity, then you can talk about exporting when it's good quality crop, because any you know, international buyers are not going to go to markets to look for anything less than, you know, good quality, and that's what a commodity exchange can help to bring and to guarantee that level of quality that international buyers are looking for. When you start to export good quality commodities and it's going through a structured market, through a structured platform like the exchange, then you can understand the volumes that are being exported, and you can actually make your gains, your taxes, your, you know, import taxes, your export taxes, and this is directly benefiting government, which can then go back into developing the sector, amongst other things. Today, the markets are so informal, you will lose a lot from, you know, export tax. So this is just one very critical, but, you know, and huge
impact
area.
That you're making. But we can't quantify it and say, for example, in the year 2023, you were able to make a certain, X amount of gains or saved X amount of, can we quantify that?
We cannot quantify it today because, we're dealing largely with maize. So far we listed 5 grains, and we started purposely with food security crops. It was part of our strategy to align with government policy to ensure that, when it comes to food security crops, we're, like you said, standing in the gap and we're playing our part. Later plans were then to add cash crops, tree crops, things like cashew, shea, and so on. So we're in the stages actually of developing those markets. We've done some work on cashew already. And then in the medium to longer term, metals, minerals, and other, very high value commodities. So yes, we're not limited to agriculture. But if you think about food security crops, we've had some, in the last 6-7 years, we've had some 1 or 2 very, very good years in terms of harvest. We've had bumper harvests, and there have been times when we've really been able to access other markets, and there have been times that we've produced less than forecast. And
like now, is it affecting you? The drought and the ban on the exports on grains.
So you see the impact of climate change is real. I mean, we've seen it over the last few years play out year after year, where there's been drought, where there was expected to be rain, and the seasons have completely changed. In fact, you can't even predict them anymore. That's had a major impact on the entire market, and including the exchange. So you find that when people can't find the grains on the market because of the dry spell, they come to the exchange, but the exchange doesn't have the commodity either because it's the same problem that we've been impacted by. So you see the points I was making about these food security crops. We've not had enough to service the market, so it means we have not had excess to then be able to export. So when you ask about quantifying it in this period, we're not able to because we haven't had the impact as a market that we'd like. And it's why we just cannot talk enough now about climate change and resilience factors and what we can do as industries, as governments, to really see how we can set ourselves up against shocks like that. When it comes to future warehouse planning, for instance, you're looking at, climate smart buildings and things like that. So this becomes really an important factor. Before, I think in Ghana and Africa, you feel far removed from that. You think that, climate change is something for the West, but actually...
most of us were introduced to it in primary school. Well, my generation, we learned about greenhouse effects, depletion of ozone layer. And here we are in 2024, and we're actually feeling
experiencing it,
the pinch. Are these the only challenges that the GCX faces in the discharge of your duties? I'm talking about the relying on the season, the climate for to get the grains, because you're mainly dealing in grains right now. What other challenges do you face?
I mean, one challenge we faced from the beginning, and it's getting much better now, I can tell you, is even just understanding who we are and what we do. So if you want people to patronize your services, they first need to understand, and trying to do that level of education and try to reach the numbers of people who can positively benefit from your platform. One is costly, and it takes time to build. So we're trying to, you could say when we came together in 2018, we literally started this thing from scratch. We'd learned, and we still take a lot of learnings from other commodity exchanges in Africa, but also globally. And we find that the same challenges we have and have had are the same challenges they face everywhere. So that's one. It's really people understanding so that they're able to then patronize its resources, because you need heavy resource to establish something that can have such a major impact, and we're a little bit constrained. There are other areas like that. And again, I mentioned 5 commodities we've listed, but the list of commodities is endless. Once a commodity is standardizable, you can trade it. It means we can trade 1 million commodities if we want on the platform, but we have to go in stages. So yes, I think that I would say that the fact that we've brought together, and I say we, the Ghana Commodity Exchange actually invited all the existing African commodity exchanges to come to Ghana last year, 2023.
All the existing
commodities, and they all came. They all honored the invitation. And it's historical because the exchanges in Africa haven't come together like this before. We all came together and agreed on the formation of an association of commodity exchanges under the AFCFTA,
Yes.
so as an African Continental Free Trade Area organization. And we've started working together to see how we can work on these challenges, build advocacy efforts, because like I said, the challenges from one country to another are pretty much the same. But what has also been a source of comfort is that we found out that what we've established is actually very strong. So we're working with a number of global commodity exchange consultants who have worked not only with GCX but with some of the other exchanges in Africa. And the fact that we've been able to provide this spot delivery system, getting people their commodities on time, getting people's funds paid on time. So as a seller, if you as a farmer, as a trader, as a seller, if you put your commodities up for sale today and you have a buyer for them, within 24 hours you receive the money in your bank account. And we've been operating without a default since we began. And the delivery mechanisms are working smoothly, the quality has been heralded. So we've been told by the experts that we're doing a good job, and we've set up a very strong foundation. So yes, there have been challenges, but we're also encouraged by what we've done so far and what we've seen.
Okay.
And the fact that it's not just the bigger players who are now coming to us to, look for commodities, but the smallholder farmers are happy working with us, and that's a good thing. So the developmental side is really important, as well as growing and making an impact. Yeah.
Hopefully we get to the point where all farmers everywhere in this country specifically come to you to help them. And you also the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Association of Commodities Exchanges convener. So let's talk about the AFTA for a bit. I know that there are some challenges there as well, not just for the entire continent, but even specific to Ghana. You can talk about infrastructural gaps, you can talk about the differences in tariffs in various places, you can talk about even road networks, so that, free border movements and all that. Do you think that we're doing enough from our side or on our parts as Ghanaians, as part of this continental free trade area, and what remains to be done?
I say, the plan is ambitious, but if you don't have ambitious plans, you're never going to go anywhere. But if you think about how difficult it can be to trade even within one country, trading, free movements across countries, looking at standards, you have different regulations, different regulatory authorities, and then yes, infrastructure is not where it should be across the continent. You talked about road networks, which are critical. Also, trains. If we had, well-functioning train networks, we should be able to transport goods across our different countries in a, much more easily. So let's say the gaps are huge, the challenges are mammoth, but they're not impossible. And what I appreciate about what AFCFTA is doing is that they're trying to do things on a small, basis to begin with. So there's something called the GTI, Guided Trade Initiative, that started by looking at a few countries, a few, goods and services, and get those trades happening, because you need to start somewhere. If you think you're waiting for all the rules to be established, for all the countries to have harmonized standards across goods, across services,
you won't even start.
You won't start, and you'll be waiting for decades. So I think, I really appreciate the efforts that are being made to get this thing moving.
In terms of the role of digital innovation in increasing reach and efficiency for farmers, do you think that, or do you believe that there is more potential for digital technologies like mobile banking apps, blockchain and all that to enhance your efforts to actually just help you, achieve your intention for the commodities exchange? Do you think that digital technologies play a pivotal role here? And where do we start from?
They do. The exchange trade is fully digital. It's all online. Whenever we talk about smallholder farmers, people get the impression that we're doing basic trading. No, they are trading their commodities online. And this is just a wonderful thing. And even the older farmers,
Really?
Some of them
What about the illiteracy rates?
Some of them have, when they come and they learn, they realize it's relatively easy. Our team speak practically, I mean, not every single Ghanaian language, but we speak at
major
least
ones.
20 languages amongst the team here.
Okay.
There's Ga, there's Tree, there's Fancy, there's Ewe, there's Dagbani, there's so many, there's Hausa, there's English, there's even French, so that when we start moving internationally, but many of the dialects are being spoken here. So we're able to communicate effectively with people across the country, and once they understand the system, it's relatively easy to use. But even those who are not comfortable with technology, the beauty is that they've brought on board their children, who are young adults, or to join them in the industry. So they're what we call the floor reps. So you can be the member, or you can designate a floor rep. So where in the past, farming, in the not so distant past, farming was likened to the hoe and cutlass and boots and hats only. Now technology is becoming a big part of it, and we're playing a big role in that. So as youth who may not have aspired to go into farming, now they're seeing farming as a business. They're seeing agriculture as a business, agribusiness versus, so you can
Most of us want to retire as farmers.
Yes, I would love to retire. You see, so you see the image is changing. If you can plant your crop, then you can trade it electronically for local markets and eventually international markets. If you can add further value to it and go into processing, I mean, it's a whole chain, but technology is becoming an integral part of that, and it's also what's making the business of agriculture so much more attractive than it has been in the past. So yes, digital is critical, and for us, it's at the center of what we do. Everything is electronic, everything is online. We're building apps, and we're also doing that in-house. So our technology team are working on different apps that they can present to the market. So one of those that has to come out within the next 12 months will be the digital trading app, but we have market information apps being developed and other such programs. So yes, it's not only important for the future, but it's critical to now.
Yeah, very pivotal. So which then, begs the question, is it not of any consequence that the majority number of farmers are illiterate as we speak? Although the narrative is changing, more younger people are leaning towards that sector. But in your experience, does it put a barrier, between what you're doing and the people who you have to be dealing with anyway? Majority of them are illiterate.
Book literacy is one thing. Understanding business and understanding your pockets is another, and that's for everyone. And that's why the pillar on access to information is so important. Because if you're somewhere in the hinterlands and you don't have access to information and you don't know the value of your commodity, you will be cheated. But let's face it, everyone has a phone. Many people have smartphones, and at the very minimum, you have what we call the YAM. And that YAM can give you price information from the Ghana Commodity Exchange on a daily basis. So it doesn't take someone with high literacy to know that, your commodity is actually being sold for, I don't know, let's say 500 cedis. And if you know that, when the person comes to buy it from you, you're not going to give it to them for 300 cedis. Everyone understands that. It's about survival, and it's about, and that's what the exchange does. So we're actually bringing farmers closer to technology, literate farmers, they're all able to work with us. And I think that's the beauty of it. And technology, in that sense, can actually help, because this is information at your fingertips on a daily basis.
And they say we are in the 4th industrial revolution, so of course we cannot do without it. My last bit to you before we get into your leadership and your opinion on a number of national issues would be, well, we have like 30-something days to the elections. The two major political parties have presented their manifestos on how they intend to turn around the economy, and agriculture is right there in the middle. It's very important. Which of these have you been following, the manifestos and the promises they're making, and which of them impressed you the most? Or do you think it's more feasible to meet Ghanaians at the points of their needs in terms of turning the agricultural sector around?
What we do here at the Exchange touches so many lives, and the impact we are trying to bring to the country, to the economy, is so much greater than party politics. And so we don't talk
you
about
don't do that
this.
at all? Okay.
No, because that's not what we're here to do. Our mandate is here to really provide access to markets, access to information, and what we're doing actually is to be beneficial to the country.
Okay.
We were established, yes, by government, and we were established under the governance of the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, who had a vision, you know, for agriculture amongst other things. And a commodity exchange is seen as something that's pivotal to growing, you know, the agricultural economy, and that's why other African countries have been trying to do it for years, some more successful than others. And I think that, you know, everyone, regardless of party politics or whichever party, sees the importance of a commodity exchange. Anyone's manifesto would have mentioned that. And I think this is a work that's been in progress for the last 30, 40 years. So although we established the actual exchange in 2018, there have been talks around establishing a commodity exchange for years. And various governments have done work on this. I think the first feasibility study was done under President Kufuor's government. So they looked at the feasibility of an exchange, studies were done, and it was found to be feasible. And then a project team was established under President Atta Mills of blessed memory. And then they looked at how they could look at the design of a commodity exchange. President Akufo-Addo then came in and said, okay, we've talked enough. And it's time for action. Let's get this thing up and running, and let's start to really you know, make an impact in this area. And so within months, we said, yes, studies have been done, it is feasible. We've accelerated, we've learned, we built a platform within the space of 12 months, and we started to operate. And like I said, you try things, you test things, and you move on. So our approach has been very much kind of piloting at every stage of the game, because if you put in a lot of work, a lot of resources, and then it fails, you have a bigger problem. So why not try? We started with one warehouse. Let's make sure that that quality guarantee that we place a stamp on, we get it right. When we talk about, you know, paying you, we call it T+1, trading +1. So you trade, and within 24 hours, within one day, you get your money. Let's make sure that people are getting paid. They see the proof of it. And then, you know, we move on from there. As we sit here today, we're planning to introduce what we call T+N, for example. So that's like a credit system, or let's say forwards trading. Everything I've described so far has been spot trading. So people sell commodities and people buy them. They take physical delivery for immediate use. But once we introduce derivatives onto the market, forwards, futures contracts, some selling commodities, others will buy them only to resell them later, depending on the commodity. So that becomes even more of a financial instrument. And that's not suitable for every type of commodity. Some will be on spot, some will be on derivatives. So you can see the work we're trying to do.
Without the politics, without the partisan politics and the many issues that it comes with.
But the issues that partisan politics come with.
When you over-politicize, most of our institutions, government institutions, have been overly politicized, and which is why they're not delivering as much as they can. But I think the question I intended to ask was, do you think that there are some areas in terms of policy reforms that will, you talked about food security, that will strengthen, you know, the agriculture and food security, you know, stance or status quo in Ghana? Are there any things like that that you think we should be looking at in terms of reviewing?
Honestly, I'd say that we've had some very strong policies. I would not have come into this if I didn't buy into the kind of policy, the agenda, the vision that we've had for the country. I truly believe in them. I think execution is always, you know, an issue. When you're trying to work on highly ambitious agendas and you have to do that with millions of people, there are some who will move faster than others. There are some who will do it better than others, and that's always, you know, you can have the best strategy, but if execution fails, you also have an issue. And I think we just need to continue to do a better job in terms of execution. If I look at what a lot of government agencies have been doing over the years or have been mandated to do, one often feeds into another. So like I said, the Ghana Commodity Exchange cannot operate in a void. In fact, we can't operate without working with so many other parties, institutions, and so on. But if you look at the role of let's say we mentioned earlier planting for food and jobs. If you don't increase your production and the quality of production, you won't have access to markets, so then we won't really have a role. If you then increase that and you start to export, you've got organizations like the Ghana Export Promotion Authority who can then take them up. One district, one factory was there for a purpose, because once you've increased your quality of production, you can go into processing, added value. Every single one of these things is linked to one another. And if we tell the story well, you'll see just how strong a policy has been formulated. But I think, you know, people are not getting the picture because we're not showing the linkages, but also in some cases we're not working as well as we should. And I think there are still, in some areas, some silos, whereas if these different organizations, institutions and programs were more closely linked, you'd see something very positive. So no, I like to think that, you know, where Ghana is in a good place, yes, we have, you know, a lot of work to do, but I think we've made some good strides and we need to now accelerate.
Okay, so now it's about acceleration. Fantastic. I'm enjoying my conversation with you. So now let's talk about leadership. At the heart of some issues that we're currently facing in the country, some analysts, political analysts who we talk to on the AM show all the time will tell you that we are facing a leadership problem. Do you agree that most of our problem, and I can talk about Lambussie, the recent Afrobarometer reports that was that came out, I think 2 or 3 days ago, indicated that trust in public institutions, including the, you know, the courts, the Electoral Commission, the Office of the Presidency, the citizens have lost trust in these institutions, and they'll say it's a leadership problem. Do you agree that we are facing some leadership challenges as a country? Also because of your expertise in leadership. So I want to know what your assessment is.
I think people like to put a lot of, you know, the buck on the leader for everything. And
don't we?
And at the end of the day, growth is everywhere and should be everywhere. I'm heading one institution, and there are thousands of institutions in this country. When I talk about institution, I'm talking generally companies, private sector companies, public sector institutions, whatever it is. I'm heading one institution. We have a team of people who, or let's say without whom, I wouldn't be able to do this job. And I can tell you, when people come to the Ghana Commodity Exchange on a daily basis or send me letters, they want to meet me because I'm the CEO. I ask what it's about, and depending on what it's about, I send them to the right person, because I can honestly say it, they know their job better than I do. Yes, I have a good idea of everything that goes on. You can't be leading an organization without having, you know, good kind of cross-functional knowledge and being able to understand issues, you know, within a relatively short space of time. But when it comes to the technical aspects, we have the experts, and I trust wholeheartedly in them to get the job done. And I really don't say this lightly. So it's not about leadership, it's about people. If I didn't have the confidence that I have in the people that I work with, I may have to look elsewhere. But we've brought people from national service who have stayed on through internships and are, you know, dealing in some of the most technical functions of the job today. They're able to liaise directly with development partners, with big banks, you know, with people at the highest levels. And I don't need to be in the room because they can get the job done.
And this is because you're training them?
Well, they also have, but they have the willingness, they have the right attitude. So identifying those people and bringing them, you know, along and working with them, they're all contributing their quota. So no, I don't think it's a leadership problem. I think it's a people challenge. You know, you are the one ultimately responsible for your attitude towards work, for your attitude towards development. And if we have 1 million people with the wrong attitude, the leader can have, you know, very noble ideas and so on, but things won't work. It goes both ways, put it that way. Leadership is critical for the, you know, strong functioning of markets and so on, but the attitude of people, what they put in, counts just as much.
You have a lot of things pulling and tugging at you for your time and your attention. How do you stay afloat? This is just me being curious.
Well, maybe.
How do you manage or balance all the things that demand your attention?
I have a lot of energy. I think I was probably born that way. I used to be an athlete, by the way. This was very many years ago. But I mean, I'm just somebody who's charged. I'm motivated by things. I like to see things work well. I like to see growth, not just in my own life, but in the lives of people around me. And if I can contribute a small iota of my time, of my energy towards that, for me, it's worth it, because ultimately, you know, one day you won't be there anymore, and you want to know that at least you've done some good or you left some positive impact. So yeah, I think that's what drives me to be able to do these different things.
What would be your final word to our cherished audience? If there's something we've left out that you think is important, especially on the GCX's role and value that it brings to Ghana, please, this is the time to, and you can look right into your camera.
Okay. No, I mean, there's so much that can be said, and whenever I talk about, or whenever any of the team talk about what we do at the Ghana Commodity Exchange, it can tend to get quite technical. So we often invite people. We say, come and visit us. Our doors are open. We really function in a very open environment. And if you come and visit us here at the head office, you still won't get an inkling. You need to visit us maybe sometimes in the warehouses, and you really get a 360 of what we do. We're open, we're accessible. We want to work with as many people as possible. But I also encourage people generally to look at agriculture as a serious business. I think if people don't know what to do with their little savings, or you know, they come into opportunity, agriculture is definitely a good place to invest in, because we're just beginning and there's so much opportunity for growth. So I would say, no, come learn more from us. You know, we're always ready to engage. We definitely won't cover it all now, but we're open to sharing more as we continue on this wonderful journey.
Thank you so much, Tuchi Ivory,
Ivory,
CEO and founding member of the Ghana Commodity Exchange. And it's been really great talking to you on the AM show, AM exclusive. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much, sweetie. Thank you for the invitation.
Right, so this is it for AM exclusive. If you're watching us on TV or across social media all the social media platforms, let us have a sense of your thoughts as well. Thank you for watching. Welcome back. You're still watching AM show on Joy News, and I enjoyed that conversation just watching it. I know I was there myself, but I enjoyed it. And if you did, leave us a comment across social media platforms and let us know what you think. But before we get into the next belt of conversation, I do want to tell you about Medicus Hospital. It's a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind, spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And we've assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yao Safo, the drive time doctor, to serve you. And we offer general medical services as well as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, that is mental health, and eye care. Additionally, we offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays, and scans. There is also a 24-hour pharmacy that ensures you will always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicines. And guess what? We bring you the most powerful human medicine of all time, simple human kindness and empathy. And we take pride in holding ourselves to the highest attainable standards. And we accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. So locate Medicus Hospital at number 10 Kinshaw Street, near Ashalibutre School Junction. Or you can simply call 0501-477-340 or reach us on social media across all social media platforms at Medicus GH. Medicus Hospital, a place of healing. Now this morning, guess who joins me in the studio? I'm sure you've been hearing the luckiest. Yeah, let's get into the conversation on that. Mr. Ya Owusu is media manager and Mr. Goodluck is brand ambassador. Do you know who Mr. Goodluck is? We used to know him as Master Richard. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So your name's changed from Master Richard to Mr. Goodluck.
From your guy, Otikokosona, Nadada Boot, Master Richard.
You've had so many names.
So many.
And now Mr. Goodluck.
Now,
it's good to have you in the studio. And before we came on air, you were both telling me that you're both alumni of the multimedia group. So how does it feel to be back?
Great.
It's great, eh? Let's talk about
It feels calm.
Yeah. You know, we are calm.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the luckiest. For one, I keep hearing the promos. I've seen things on TV. But I'm curious to know, what is the luckiest really about? And I want to ask you, Mr. Goodluck, tell us about it.
Yes, thank you very much. And good morning to yourself and your cherished viewers. The luckiest, I call it a wealth creation platform where wealth is shared amongst people who participate. To participate is very, very simple, and all you do is to dial *712#, *712#. And I'll encourage everybody, if you are within our viewing range, all you have to do is get on your phone now, because you might forget if the promos don't play or you don't hear from us as we are doing now. So go on your phone, dial *712#. That's a call to action. Okay. And you could be on your way to become a millionaire.
Millionaire?
Yes.
CD millionaire or dollar millionaire?
Oh, Nina.
Okay.
Because you can convert the CDs to dollars and still being a millionaire in that range as well. What it takes is, it comes up the last 2 quarters of the year. So we say from June till December. And this year, we have gone through it. The grand draw is on the 30th of this month. The grand draw is on, and we're doing this to precede the elections. Normally, it comes the last Saturday before Christmas.
Okay.
But this time around, because of the elections, we want to hold the grand draw so that Ghanaians become millionaires before they select who their presidential candidates will be. Because when you are rich, your decisions are different. And when you are poor, your decisions come different as well. And we want them to come up with a strong decision. So we are opening the gates for them. And like I said, it's so easy to participate.
Okay. I'll come back to you in a second. Mr. Owusu, so you're a media manager. Tell us exactly what this is. Is it a raffle? Is it a draw? Is it, like he said, a wealth creation avenue? And what really goes into it? So you pick your phone, you dial *712#, and then what happens at the back end before you become a millionaire?
We call it the world creation game platform, the luckiest.
So it's a game platform.
So we distribute wealth. All you need to do is just dial the short code *712#. You follow the prompt. You can buy it for yourself, buy it for a friend.
Buy what?
Buy the ticket for yourself, or buy it for a friend. Or you can come together as a team or a group and buy it as a community. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So these are things that we are doing to, create wealth for Ghanaians. Aside the main grand draw, we're doing a lot. Started on the 1st of July up to date. We've given a lot of items like phones, fabric, TV sets, all over the country.
How long has this been in existence?
This is the 2nd year. Last year we piloted only in Accra, but this year it's the whole of Ghana, and it's all over the place.
Across all 16 regions?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
It's all over the place, and people are really participating. It's all over the place. And aside the grand draw that I made mention earlier on, we've been giving a lot of items. Even this November, before the draw, it's about 20 or something days more for the draw. A lot of items are still being given out. It's not.
We're giving out mobile phones. Okay. We're giving out motorbikes. We're giving out chest freezers. We're giving out television sets, gas cookers, and a lot more. And this is how you get to win some of these pre-grand draw prizes. If you are the highest purchaser of the day on any of the communities. As a matter of fact, if we go into details, the luckiest has been categorized into communities. We have about 100 communities. That's based around the Ghanaian community and the endeavors that we engage in. We have the taxi driver community, we have the Okada community, we have the doctors community, nurses communities. So these are all communities. That's why when you are trying to buy a ticket, will ask you to buy a random ticket or a preferred ticket. When you dial *712#, first of all, I ask you if you want to buy the ticket for yourself or you want to buy it for somebody. If you want to buy it for someone, you can do so by just inputting the person's number, and then you place luck at the doorstep of that person instantly. Otherwise, you could buy it for yourself, and you could choose a preferred ticket or a random ticket. And when you get the random ticket number, you can share the random ticket number with your friends for them to buy off the same ticket, so that if that ticket wins, all of you become winners. As a matter of fact, for the luckiest to win, you get to get a payoff of 200% of how much you participated with. And there are different categories of wins. And that's why I say that it's not an individual win. You get a lot more people to win on the same ticket, unlike other gaming platforms.
Okay. What is the highest amount of money that someone has won since you started last 2 years or last year?
Last year.
Yeah.
Someone won
what is the highest?
$1 million Ghana.
$1 million Ghana cedis?
Yes, $1 million last year.
What?
Yes.
The person is here in the country?
Oh, he's surviving and enjoying the money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, lucky the person.
Yeah. People won other categories of prizes. So there are different ranges. And like I said, it depends. And it's not just one ticket that wins the day. If even we have different categories. We have the luckiest category, we have the bonus category, and then we have the community win as well. So there are different categories. Your ticket can even win in all these categories. One ticket can go through all these categories, either the luckiest, the community win, or the bonus win. And each of the categories, the wins won't just be handled to just one person. We have the first stake, the second stake, and the third stake, each of the categories. So there are multiple
raining cash and prizes everywhere.
So
I want to give you both a minute to speak directly to our audience. Tell them why it is absolutely necessary they pick up their phones to dial *712#. But before then, this is all regulated by the NLA, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
On the Caritas platform.
Fantastic. So let me start with you, Mr. Owusu. Tell our audience why it is absolutely necessary that right now, as they can hear your voice, they should pick up their phones and dial *712#.
Yeah, because, we're distributing wealth to every Ghanaian, even before the election, that is on the 7th of December.
Yeah.
By then, the draw has already taken place. So those who are supposed to win have a lot of money in their pocket. It's not too late for somebody to pick his or her phone to follow the same *712# or go to the www.theluckiestafrica.com.
Oh, say that again, just in case.
www.theluckiestafrica.com.
Okay, you have it on your screen.
Yeah, to buy a ticket and just wait for the grand draw on the 30th of November for you to, pick up your cash and wait for the election. Whoever wins, you enjoy with the person.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 30th of November, we are getting ready for that big, or should I say, grand draw.
Yeah.
Mr. Luckiest, what would be your final word to our audience?
You see, the news needs air to survive, just like the pocket needs money to survive. There are different avenues people make money. It could be through anything. But one of the preferred ways is to work hard or count on your luck and God's blessings. This is an opportunity for everyone to change their lives in the coming year. Even in the coming days, because if you buy a ticket today and you are the highest purchaser today, you stand a chance of winning a motorbike, a television set, or a deep freezer if you buy a ticket today, even before the grand draw. As I talk to you from here, we are delivering, we're giving away some prizes at the CAFAM branch at East Legon. Those who won last week, who were the highest purchasers of tickets last week. So it's an opportunity for you as well. Even before you get to go to the grand draw, you get the opportunity to win. So it's important. Like I said, just like the notes needs air, you need money. And this is a great opportunity. We bring luck to your doorstep. So kindly go on your phone right now. It doesn't matter which phone you have, whether it's a yam, cassava, cocoa yam, whatever. Dial *712# and change your life come the 30th of November on the luckiest.
That's there is Mr. Goodluck. Mr. Goodluck.
Yes, Mr. Goodluck. I bring luck to everyone.
Yeah, he's bringing me so much luck. Please, I'm waiting for my luck.
Yes.
Mr. Brand Ambassador and
you already had one the other day when you won the award. It was through the luckiest.
Thank you, the luckiest.
Mr.
hard work
media manager. Hey, Mr. Lucky. All right. Thank you so much for coming. We wish you the very best. And hopefully on that 30th of November in that grand draw, maybe my name will come up and I'll win something. But Yawusu is media manager and Mr. Goodluck is brand ambassador. And they joined me for this conversation in the studio. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Right before we go, though, I have a message from Syntex Tank. Ghana, get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Syntex is giving 15 communities free water. And this is just to say thank you, Ghana, for making us the #1. Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Do you know that Syntex was also the first to introduce inner wide layer tanks? And they come in so many colors and sizes. So when it's not Syntex, forget about it. Now, if you're a community and you want to benefit from the Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to the social media handles at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. The more you nominate, the better chances you have of Syntex coming to your community. Remember, it is Syntex, S-I-N-T-E-X, Syntex Tank. No be any tank be tanko. The correct tank be Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. We'll be right back on the AM show with more. Stay.
This reminds me of MC Hammer. Remember that song, Pray? We got to pray just to make it today. Oh, yes, we pray. Yes, it's all about the National Non-Denominational Youth Prayer for the 2024 elections. And joining me in the studio, my two guests, Reverend Nana Kweku Setre. He's a team member. We also have Reverend Francis Oren. He's also a team member. Good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us about this event, National Non-Denominational Youth Prayer for the 2024 elections. Why this prayer session?
So this prayer is for the peace of the country. It's for the unity of the nation. So the Archbishop, he is the convener of this prayer. And
Duncan Williams.
Yes, please. The Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. And he's looking at bringing all the youth together, that we will be able to stand in the gap and pray for kings, pray for people in authority. Because if they can make good decisions, it has to come by the wisdom of God. They can't do it on their own, and they can't do it alone. And if what past years, if God is not in the boat, you will sink. So this is a divine, timely intervention that we need the youth to stand in, take the destiny of this country, secure it, so that we will be able to have peace within our walls. And when there is peace, there will be prosperity within our walls as well. So this prayer is a call in the right direction, that all the youth must be able to gather so that we will together secure the destiny.
For peace in Ghana ahead of and in the course of election 2024. Yes. You've invited a number of speakers. Who and who are coming for this event to lead the charge of prayer?
Okay, so we have Archbishop himself, Nicholas Duncan Williams, he's a convener. We have Bishop Emeritus James Kwekusa. We have Apostle General Sam Kranchiankra. We have Reverend Dr. Ampia Kofi. We have Reverend Mama Kwe. We have Bishop Titi Ofe, who are all coming to hold the forth and then lead us in prayer as the Lord leads them concerning the nation and concerning the peace of this country. We also have some ministers who are going to be ministering. It's not going to be only prayer, but we are going to have worship and all of that. We are going to have Minister Joe Mettle also coming in. We're going to have Kofi Kakari, Minister Kofi Kakari also coming in. We're going to have Reverend Ella. We're going to have Lady Elsie also coming. And there's going to also be the Next Gen Choir, who will also be ministering on that night. So it's not only going to be prayer, but it's also going to be worship as well, as we lift up worship. So when worship goes down, His glory comes down. And definitely there will be timely intervention for this nation.
And that is reflective of the theme, timely intervention, securing the destiny of Ghana through prayer. Who can attend? And where is this happening? Okay. When is it happening?
So it's going to happen tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
15th of November.
Okay.
It's an all night, from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m.
9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Where is it happening?
At the Action Chapel Prayer Cathedral on the Sprinters Road.
Okay.
We have a Dominion Arena, an arena that can sit over 20,000. We are having it outdoor. Yes.
Okay.
We are looking at the young and those who feel they are young at heart. So even if you are 50 and you feel young at heart, come. 60 young at heart, come. But you come not with any political party shirt. You are coming, dressing, having a flag of Ghana because we are going to secure the nation.
I see. So it's all about, the National Non-Denominational Youth Prayer for the 2024 elections. Before we go, are there any people you'd like to commend for supporting you? And
definitely.
then you can throw the invitation to the youth and we'll wrap it up.
Sure. Definitely, we'd like to thank Joy News for this opportunity to come and speak on this particular matter. It tells us that you have the nation at heart as a company, because if there is no peace in this nation, definitely business cannot go. I mean, even church cannot go on. Nobody can go to school. You can't marry. If you want to marry, if there is no peace. You can't even stay in your own house. So we thank Joy FM, with Joy News. We thank Vision 1, City TV, that's Channel 1. We thank Radio Gold, Sunny FM, and
Spirit FM.
There are a number of them.
A number of them,
Right.
Dominion
I see
TV.
GH1.
GH1, yes.
TV,
Star
Radio
FM.
Gold, Sunny,
Yes.
City 97.3,
Yes.
Vision
1.
1 FM.
Lights TV.
Vision 1.
Yes, Lights TV. So we thank all of them. And then Cowbell, they have decided to also come and then help with the beverage whilst prayer is going on. So we are in the fasting mood as well.
Okay, I'll give you the last word, 30 seconds, and then we're gone.
That's fine. So please, we are inviting everyone to be a part of it. There will be buses available at the city. We have people coming from Kumasi, Takoradi, Cape Coast, Winneba, and Volta region for us all to gather. So please, if you are out there, make sure you are a part of this.
Okay.
Tomorrow, 15th of November, at the Action Chapel Prayer Cathedral on the Sprinters Road. We'll be looking forward to see you.
Thank you so much. It's the National Non-Denominational Youth Prayer ahead of the 2024 elections. Reverend Nana Kweku Secretary, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we also have Reverend Francis Orin. He's also a team member. Thank you for coming. We're going to leave you on the show today with AM Business. And of course, we're talking about the Central Business District of Accra, where fake Kente products dominate. We'll be bringing you that shortly. Do stay with us.
National Youth in Prayer presents National Prayer for 2024 election.
Adula Kita Duha Dias. Pray for Ghana. Pray for this nation. It's the only nation we have. Lift up prayer. Get aggressive. Stop being nice. Stop being nice.
All roads leads to Action Chapel International, Sprinters Road, Dominion Arena on the 15th of November 2024 for an all-night. Buses will be provided. For more information, call 020-9423-436 or 0243-667814. Remember to come along with your Ghana flag. Sponsors: Cowbell, Twisco, Media Partners, Dominion TV, Channel 1 TV, Joy News, GH1 TV, Lights TV, Sunny FM, Radio Gold, City FM, Vision 1, Star FM, and Spirit FM.
Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for accompanying us on the AM show. Unfortunately, we can't bring you AM Business. We'll bring it to you likely tomorrow. But for now, we're concluding right here in the studio. Sweetie Abochi joins me.
I've actually enjoyed myself today. You know, no why. When I woke up today, I said, one more day, God. But today's been very packed.
Oh, my word.
But a very happy birthday going to a transformative leader who has dedicated his life to serving and safeguarding Ghana. His dedication to duty makes him one of Ghana's most respected military generals. Here's to celebrating his achievements and the invaluable work he continues to do for Mother Ghana. Happy birthday to the Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kutia. This is from your friends at Joy FM and, of course, the AM show here at Joy News. Happy birthday, sir. Oh, it's Benjamin's lecturer. Benjamin, your lecturer. I had to add that. But right before we go, I do want to tell you about Girl Get Up Seminar 3.0. At the beginning of this month, I mentioned that we're breaking comms and it's happening at the AMA Auditorium in Accra. It's the third time we're doing this. All young, ambitious women who want to learn or hear from trailblazing women on how they achieve success, learn some practical life skills and tools on how you can also be intentional and be successful. Please join us for Girl Get Up seminar. It's on the theme, Girl, Become the Boss of You. And after the seminar, there's a mental health conversation with a panel with clinical psychologists and therapists they're there to teach us how we can take care of our mental health. Because, girl, guess what? It matters to you. So you're invited. If you want to join us, simply call 024-871-6087 for more information. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the 23rd of November at Accra Metropolitan Assembly Hall. It's called the Snap Cinema. And you can see our speakers there and our panelists there as well. So do well to attend. Thank you. Benjamin, will I see you this time around?
You were pretty quick with the number. Are you sure they got you?
Oh, the
you
number
might want
is
to slow down and repeat that number.
024-871-6087. Call us and let's get your details and register you. It's just 300 people we're expecting. So call now. Otherwise, the slots will be filled and you might be left out. Thank you, and see you there.
I just might surprise you again.
Oh, yeah.
I just might.
I think it was really lovely that you passed by the NT Book Club launch. I loved it. Thank you, Benjamin.
Let's see. I'll likely come through this one.
Okay.
But here's another installment of the AM show, done and dusted. Who's coming up next? Do you know that wonderful lady called?
Authentic dark-skinned woman, Faustina Safo. She's serving you Joy News Desk. Please stay. And that's our show, folks. Thank you for watching. Mwah.